Chapter 500. Walking into his courtyard. Qin Shujian took the lead to sit down, then looked at Ningbo, who was standing aside, and said, "Don't be reserved, sit down." "Well, thank you, sect master." Ningbo was stunned for a moment, but he quickly came to his senses and then sat down a little cautiously. Everything in the courtyard seemed ordinary, but it gave him a very different feeling. Not to mention anything else. Just the air around him. When he took a breath, he felt that the pores in his body were not open, and even his tiredness disappeared. After sitting down, Ningbo's body was still tense. Although he tried to calm himself down, one could still see his nervousness from his expression. To this, Qin Shujian did not say more on this. His eyes fell on Ningbo's body, and everything about him was exposed in his sight. Blocked meridians. Shaped bones. There was also evil spirit hidden in the meridians, as if he was born like this. Seeing this, Qin Shujian's face also showed a touch of surprise. Born with evil spirit? Could this be the special constitution that the old guy Gong Mingzi talked about? Then, he observed Ningbo several times inside and out. He found that there was nothing else about his body except for this. The evil spirit was hidden in the body. He could not see anything in a short time. But as he got older and older, if the evil spirit broke out, Ningbo would be disabled even if he did not die. But these problems were not a big problem for Qin Shujian. The evil spirit was born. The root was in the body. He just needed to find a way to remove it. Thoughts surged in his mind, but his expression did not change on the surface. He poured himself a cup of tea, took a sip, and said with a faint smile, "There is some water here. If you want to drink it, pour it yourself. My spiritual tea can be drunk by cultivators, but mortals can't drink it." There was abundant spiritual energy in the spiritual energy. For people like Ningbo, whose meridians were blocked, to drink it, it was light to say that he would bleed from the 7 orifices. In serious cases, his body might directly explode. No need," Ningbo stuttered. Qin Shujian didn't force him and continued, "Take out the token I gave you back then." Hearing this, Ningbo took out a cloth bag and carefully opened it, revealing the token inside. "Please take a look, sect master." As he spoke, he handed over the token with both hands. With a thought, Qin Shujian made the token fly up from Ningbo's hand and fall into his hand. The next second, the token disappeared. "Since you've come here as promised, then you're a disciple of my sect. I'll fight for an opportunity for you to cultivate. If you can break through to the true martial realm within a year and win first place in next year's competition, then I'll accept you as my disciple. If you can't, then you will still be a disciple of my sect. However, how far you can go in the future depends entirely on you. It has nothing to do with me," Qin Shujian said in a deep voice. Breaking through to the true martial realm within a year was to see if the other party's talent had reached the upper level after cleansing their bones. If they couldn't make it, then he wouldn't pay too much attention to them. After all, he was a heavenly being. If he wanted to accept a disciple, then he must be a genius. Otherwise, he would lose face. As for the first place in the competition, it was to test the other party's strength. An empty shell with a cultivation base was also not of much use. Qin Shujian only had 3 conditions for accepting a disciple. One was to have great luck. Otherwise, it would be disgusting to fall and die. Another was to have a good foundation. Otherwise, it would be useless for a genuine martial realm warrior to waste 100 years, even if he could kill a divine martial realm warrior. After all, a genuine martial realm warrior only had a lifespan of 100 years. Even if you were powerful, once your lifespan was up, you would still die. He didn't want to accept a disciple who would die after a few years. As for the third condition, it was very simple. Geniuses couldn't challenge people above their level, but at least they shouldn't be challenged by people above their level. It would be a huge joke if they were killed by a genuine martial realm warrior after working so hard to reach the divine martial realm. Even if they weren't killed by a genuine martial realm warrior, it would be a loss of face for Qin Shujian if he was killed by someone below his level. Therefore, None of the three conditions could be missing. Almost no one in the Yuan sect met the three conditions. Either they had great combat power, but average talent. They were destined to have no hope of reaching the heavenly being realm in the future. Or they had great potential, but their combat power was terrible. Their temperament was also not good enough. In the future they would only be good for nothing. Or they had both, but their luck was too bad. All in all, there were all kinds of people. However, if one wanted to meet all three conditions, then there was none. Currently, in Qin Shujian's eyes, Ningbo had met the first condition. He had great luck. As for the remaining two, it all depended on each other's luck. Ningbo's expression was solemn as he replied respectfully. Don't worry, head, I will do my best and won't disappoint you. Becoming a disciple of Qin Shujian. This was his biggest goal after knowing the other party's identity. Even if he hadn't stepped into the cultivation world, from Gongming's words, he knew that the other party was much more powerful than Gongming's. As for how powerful Gongming's was. Anyway, along the way, any trouble in front of him was solved with a wave of his hand. His strength. It was the first time in his life. Okay, you can go and rest for a while. Our sect has its own rules. Anyone who enters the sect for the first time can only start as an outer disciple. Qin Shujian finished his sentence and directly kicked him out. To this, Ningbo immediately stood up and bowed. I will leave first. Then, he turned and left the courtyard. As soon as he walked out, a middle-aged man was waiting there. You are the new outer disciple, right? My name is Jiahe and I am currently the inner deacon. As he spoke, Jiahe walked forward. Follow me. Yes. According to Qin Shujian's orders, Jiahe led Ningbo towards the direction of the outer disciples. Along the way, Jiahe was also silently observing him. In front of him, Ningbo looked like an ordinary person. The clothes he wore were secondary. The problem was that his root bone was formed and his meridians were stagnant. These things could be seen by anyone with a little eyesight. There were a lot of ordinary people like him outside. He didn't understand why Ningbo could be valued by Qin Shujian. It didn't matter if he didn't understand. He just needed to know that the other party was valued by the sect master. It wouldn't be wrong to be polite in the future. Thinking of this, Jiahe said with a smile, how should I address you, little brother? My name is Ningbo. Ningbo, a good name. If you have any trouble in the outer sect in the future, you can come to me at any time. I will try my best to help you, Jiahe said. Hearing this, Ningbo replied with a grateful look. Thank you, Deacon Jia. If I succeed in the future, I will definitely not forget you. Haha, don't say that. You are treating me as an outsider. Jiahe was in a good mood. Wasn't that what he needed? Even if it was just a casual remark from Ningbo, when he really reached that step in the future, he still had some feelings for him. However, it was still unknown whether Ningbo had any hope of being accepted as a disciple by Qin Shujian. If he was accepted as a disciple by Qin Shujian, why would he start as an outer disciple? In Jiahe's opinion, this should be a kind of test. To be honest, the standard for recruiting disciples nowadays is under the age of 16. It's rare to see someone as young as little brother Ning. Speaking of this, Jiahe sighed. After all, once you exceed this age, your root bone will be fixed and some meridians will gradually close. Even if you set foot on cultivation in the future, it will take a lot of time to comb and open them again. Life is only a few hundred years. How can you have so much time to waste? After that, he paid attention to Ningbo's expression. However, to Jiahe's disappointment, Ningbo's expression didn't change much from beginning to end, and he didn't show any panic because of his words. For a moment, he had some more guesses in his heart. Next, Jiahe didn't have too much desire to say. According to Qin Shujian's instructions, he took Ningbo to the outer disciple's place to stay, explained to the outer disciple deacon in charge, and turned to leave. On the other side, Qin Shujian, on the other hand, was still sitting there, drinking one cup after another. People who didn't know him would think that he was drinking wine instead of tea. After drinking it, he smacked his lips, feeling a little uncomfortable. Logically speaking, the osmanthus flowers produced by the osmanthus tree were of a high level and contained a lot of spiritual energy. However, when Qin Shujian drank it, the novelty at the beginning was gone. After a while, it was no different from drinking plain water. He knew. It was not that the level of the spiritual tea had dropped, but that his cultivation was getting higher and higher. With the little spiritual energy contained in the spiritual tea now, it wouldn't have much effect. Unless it was a higher level spiritual tea. He glanced at the osmanthus tree. Qin Shujian shook his head. If he wanted to get a higher level spiritual tea, the osmanthus tree in front of him had to make another breakthrough. However, the cultivation of a plant spirit was the slowest. It was already not easy for it to grow to this point in just a few years. If he wanted to improve on his original foundation, even if the time needed was short, it was not something that could be done immediately. The next day, in Liang Mountain City, after Xiaohong received the message from Yuan Zong, he immediately rushed over. Speaking of which, it wasn't his first time in Liang Mountain, and he could be considered a frequent visitor of Yuan Zong. Therefore, as soon as he arrived in Liang Mountain, Xiaohong walked towards Yuan Zong with familiarity. Halfway there, he met Niu Feng, who came to pick him up. Seeing Xiaohong, Niu Feng smiled and said, "Steward Xiao, you came at the right time. The sect master is already waiting at the inherited martial hall. Quickly come with me. Elder Niu, please lead the way." "Please! Please!" Niu Feng and Xiaohong walked towards the inherited martial hall, one in front and one behind. Although they couldn't fly in the air in the sect, with their cultivation, they could still do a simplified version of shrinking the ground into an inch. It didn't take long for them to arrive at the inherited martial hall. Niu Feng walked in first. When he saw Qin Shujian sitting at the main seat, he cupped his hands and said, "Sect Master, the steward of the Baiyun Marquis Mansion, Xiaohong, is already waiting outside the hall. Let him in," Qin Shujian said indifferently. He had already sensed Xiaohong when he entered Yuan Zong's territory. A diviner. Even if he didn't deliberately spread his divine consciousness, he could still sense every movement within 100 miles. However, most of the time, Qin Shujian would block his senses. After all, knowing too much wasn't a pleasant thing. But sometimes, when his senses overflowed, he couldn't be bothered to care about it. Niu Feng left as instructed. Soon, Xiaohong walked in. When he saw Qin Shujian, he immediately bowed and said, "Xiaohong greets Sect Master Qin. Steward Xiao, you don't have to be so polite. Please take a seat." "Thank you, Sect Master Qin." Xiaohong's attitude was respectful as he sat down on a seat at the side. Although he had some friendship with Qin Shujian, friendship was friendship, etiquette was etiquette. The two could not be mixed together. Moreover, before Qin Shujian broke through to the diviner level, he could still talk to him as an equal with the steward of the Baiyun Marquis Mansion. But after he broke through to the diviner level, Xiaohong didn't dare to be so arrogant. He was backed by the Baiyun Marquis Mansion and could be considered a member of the imperial court. Although members of the imperial court had a high status, they valued etiquette the most. Qin Shujian didn't comment on these things. Etiquette. He didn't value it very much. As long as one's fist was big enough, no one would dare to say anything even if he was rude. "Steward Xiao, why are you here this time?" Qin Shujian didn't hesitate and went straight to the point. Upon hearing this, Xiaohong cupped his hands and said, "I'm here on the orders of the Baiyun Marquis to ask for Sect Master Qin's help." "Indeed," Qin Shujian thought to himself. He knew that the Baiyun Marquis must have something to ask of him. Needless to say, if the Baiyun Marquis was looking for him, it wouldn't be anything good. It wouldn't be easy either. After all, how could it be easy for an almighty to ask for help? Qin Shujian remained calm and asked, "What's the matter?" "Sect Master Qin, you should know that the demons sealed in the ordinary realm and the true dominion in the Baiyun Marquis Mansion have been killed." However, there are still some demons in the spirit realm and the Great Dominion. The Imperial Court is preparing to break the heaven-earth restriction in a year. When the time comes, the 3 continents will be connected. No one knows what will happen. The demons sealed now seem stable, but they may be the source of the disaster in the future. Xiao Hong's expression was solemn as he spoke. The Marquis hopes that all the hidden dangers in the Bayun Marquis mansion can be eliminated before the Imperial Court breaks the heaven-earth restriction. This way, even if something unexpected happens, the Bayun Marquis mansion will be able to deal with it. Marquis Bayun wants me to kill the demons? Qin Shujian raised his eyebrows. Kill the demons in the spirit realm and the Great Dominion? What a joke! He didn't know that he was only at the first stage of the heaven-human realm. If he released a few demons at the Saint Realm, the Bayun Marquis mansion would be in chaos. Even if they weren't at the Saint Realm, even if they were at the Transcendent Realm, Qin Shujian might not be able to stop them if they wanted to leave. Therefore, after hearing Xiao Hong's words, a thought immediately appeared in Qin Shujian's mind. The Marquis Bayun really thinks highly of me. When Xiao Hong heard this, he hurriedly explained. Sect Master Qin, please don't misunderstand. This time, you are not the only one who will be killing the demons. The Marquis will also join in to ensure that nothing goes wrong and we will completely eradicate the demons. In this case, the Marquis Bayun's strength alone is enough to wipe out the demons in the Bayun Marquis Bayun, Qin Shujian said with a faint smile. Xiao Hong said, I don't know much about the heaven-human realm. This time, I'm just here at the Marquis' order. I'm afraid Sect Master Qin will have to make a trip to Zhongyang City to know the details. Seeing this, Qin Shujian didn't answer immediately. In his opinion, the Marquis Bayun was a powerful figure. Whether he could kill the demons or not, he didn't need the help of a first-stage heaven-human realm cultivator. To put it bluntly, it didn't make much of a difference whether he was there or not. The number of experts that the Almighties could deal with made no difference. If he wanted to turn the situation around, he was still not strong enough. In this case, the Marquis Bayun should want to use my formation. Could it be that he has the confidence to kill the demons, but he doesn't have the confidence to stop them from escaping, so he wants to use my formation to stop them from escaping? Several ideas came to his mind. In Qin Shujian's opinion, it should be close to the truth. To be honest, he didn't really want to take on this matter. Because if he attacked with the Marquis Bayun, he wouldn't have the chance to use the Red Lotus of Purgation to devour the demons. This method of the Guiyuan ancestral canon couldn't be exposed for the time being. If it was just to kill the demons, it would be fine. At most, it would be an additional method to deal with the demon abyss. But if the news of refining the other party and directly absorbing their energy spread out, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. Moreover, Qin Shujian wasn't sure if the Marquis Bayun would be tempted by such a temptation. And if the news spread out, would the human emperor be tempted? If he were these people, he would most likely be tempted by the existence of such a cultivation method. Using these things to test people's hearts. To be honest, Qin Shujian didn't have any confidence, nor did he have this idea. What if he went overboard? The world was so big that there might not be a place for him to stay. He wanted to refuse the Marquis Bayun, but he remembered that he owed the Marquis Bayun mansion some favors. Although he had helped the Bayun mansion kill many demons, the Marquis Bayun mansion hadn't given him any rewards. Most importantly, he had also benefited a lot from this. Therefore, what had happened before was only a transaction, not a return of the favor. With this thought in mind, Qin Shujian said, When do you plan to take action? Before breaking the restriction of heaven and earth, we have to kill all the demons in the Bayun mansion. How many demons are there in the Bayun mansion now? 20 demons. Xiao Hong pondered for a while and gave an accurate answer. 20 demons? Qin Shujian looked surprised and couldn't help but ask. 20 demons? So few? That's right. Compared to the hundreds of demons in the true dominion and the ordinary dominion, there were only 20 demons in all the spirit dominion. This number was really too few. He had thought that there were at least hundreds of demons sealed in the Bayun mansion. After hearing Xiaohong's words, he realized that there weren't many demons in the Beiyun mansion. Upon hearing this, Xiaohong didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He said, "Sect Master Qin, the Spirit Dominion and the Great Dominion were formed after thousands of years. In the beginning, many demons were sealed. But now, after so many years, the seals that should be broken were broken, and the demons that should be born were born. Now, there are only 20 demons left in the Beiyun mansion because of the fusion of other regions. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any demons left." After hearing what Xiaohong said, Qin Shijian, on the other hand, understood. The Liang Mountain's Spirit Dominion had advanced too quickly, causing him to have a misunderstanding. Under normal circumstances, it would take at least a few thousand years for a region to advance to the Spirit Dominion level. Tens of thousands of years were considered light. As for advancing to the Great Dominion level, it was needless to say. How long could the array formation of an array grandmaster be preserved? In theory, as long as the spirit chi of heaven and earth was not depleted, it could be preserved for 10,000 years or 100,000 years. However, this wasn't the case in reality. Putting aside the external factors, just the sealing array formation alone, the demons below were constantly attacking the seal. After a long time, the array formation would definitely be damaged. It was already a blessing that the formation, which could have existed for eternity, could be preserved for several hundred years under such circumstances. Under such circumstances, they could either send an array grandmaster to repair the array formation or let the array formation break. The other Spirit Dominion had a long history, and the demons sealed there couldn't exist forever. Those sealing formations had long since been broken. As such, Qin Shijian overturned his original idea. He thought that there were at least 10,000 demons sealed in the Great Dominion. However, it seemed that this number had to be reduced by half. Qin Shijian thought for a moment and replied, "How about this? I still have some things to do. I will personally go to Zongyang City in a month. 20 demons. With Marquis Beiyun's strength, it wouldn't take too long to kill them one by one. In this 1 month, he didn't really have anything to do. It was just that he was too tired and wanted to rest." Hearing this, Xiaohong thought for a moment and nodded. "I will definitely pass on Sect Master Qin's words. When the time comes, I will wait for Sect Master Qin's arrival in Zongyang City." "Good." Qin Shijian nodded. Not long after, Xiaohong stood up and bid farewell. Before the man left, Qin Shijian used his Dharma eye to peek at the man's attributes. Xiaohong, who was about to step out of the inherited martial hall, suddenly froze. In that instant, he seemed to feel a terrifying gaze that could see through him completely. However, this feeling came and went quickly. He turned around to look at Qin Shijian and found that he was still sitting there without moving. Xiaohong could only suppress the doubts in his heart. He cupped his hands again and stepped out of the inherited martial hall. Just as he stepped out of the inherited martial hall, Neo Feng walked towards him and sent him out of Liang Mountain. In the hall, Qin Shijian thought back to the attributes he just saw and a thought-provoking smile appeared on his face. 10th stage of the Divine Martial Realm. Peak Realm. He always thought that Xiaohong was only at the early or middle stage of the Divine Martial Realm. After all, this old housekeeper of the Marquis Beiyun's mansion didn't pose much of a threat. However, when he looked at him with his Dharma eye, he found that he was already at the peak of the Divine Martial Realm and could break through to the Diviner Realm at any time. Unfortunately, it's easier said than done to break through. Qin Shijian shook his head. Just like Yin Banqing and Fang Xinglan, Xiaohong had reached the Diviner Realm, but his qi and blood were gradually declining. Whether he could break through in the future was still unknown. Chapter 501. In the world, there were many cultivators who were stuck at the peak of the Divine Martial Realm. Yin Banqing, Fang Xinglan, and Xiaohong were only a small part of them. Seriously speaking, this was the first time he had seen such a thing. Among the itinerant cultivators, there were also some people who were stuck at this level. Firstly, it was a problem with cultivation techniques. Secondly, it was a problem with the decline of qi and blood. Some elders of the top sex had the inheritance of divine martial realm cultivation techniques, but their natural aptitude was limited. By the time they reached the peak of the divine martial realm, they did not have much lifespan left. If they wanted to break through later, it would be difficult for them to continue. For the top sex with celestial beings, cultivation techniques were not a problem. The real problem was. It was the solution to the decline of chi and blood. In this way, the role of the creation pill was highlighted again. There were very few alchemy grandmasters in the world, and not every one of them could refine the creation pill. Qin Shujian used his life source to improve the celestial blue alchemy tome and was at the peak of the alchemy grandmaster realm. Out of the 5 creation pills, he still failed one. For the other alchemy grandmasters who had barely reached this level, the success rate of refining the creation pill was actually very low. However, the materials needed for each refinement were not simple treasures. Even the top sex could not afford such a loss after failing 2 or 3 times. After all, some materials could not be bought with money. For example, the Origin Chaos Sacred Fruit. In Qin Shujian's opinion, the Heavenly Array sect had probably turned the fallen moon mansion upside down in order to get these 2 Origin Chaos Sacred Fruits. Maybe they could find 1 or 2 more. However, it was impossible for him to obtain more than that. Take your time, there's no rush. Qin Shuyan smiled slightly. He did not intend to give the creation pill to Xiaohong immediately. Although he had a good relationship with him. Friendship was friendship, there were some things that had to be separated clearly. He believed that if the news of him having the creation pill spread, the Marquis Mansion would come to ask for it. One more celestial being would be a great thing for the Marquis of Beiyun. Qin Shujian said to himself. We'll talk about it when the time comes. It's not easy to refine the creation pill. In my opinion, 4 pills are still too few. 4 pills were really too few. He knew that there were no less than 4 people who had enough capital to buy the creation pill. And there were even more that he did not know. In general. Naturally, the more cultivation pills there were, the better. It would be best if he could refine 100 or 80 pills at once. That way, Yuan Zong would be rich. Qin Shujian abandoned this unrealistic conjecture in his heart and focused his attention on his attribute panel. As for the special martial arts, the Celestial Light Alchemy Tome also had a plus sign that could be upgraded. Regarding this, Qin Shujian raised his eyebrows slightly. In the Great Zhao, pill grandmasters are the top. Also, it is not divided into 1 realm, 2 realms, and 3 realms like formation grandmasters. A pill grandmaster is a pill grandmaster. Even a stronger pill grandmaster cannot escape this category. If I were to upgrade the Celestial Light Alchemy Tome, would I be able to break through to another unknown realm, or would I still be at the level of a grandmaster alchemist? He was a little uncertain. This was not the first time Qin Shujian had encountered such a situation. When the ancestral forging cannon had been upgraded, the array formation grandmaster had broken through from the 1st level to the 2nd level. However, the grandmaster forging profession was still a grandmaster forging profession. Other than that, there didn't seem to be much difference between before and after the breakthrough. Before the breakthrough, when there was no innate embryo, one could not refine a Tao artifact. It was still the same after the breakthrough. If there were to be changes, there were some. That was, when refining a spirit artifact, it was easier and there was almost no possibility of failure. As for whether the Celestial Light Alchemy Tome would be the same as this, in fact, Qin Shujian thought that the possibility of the same was very high. Forget it, upgrade it. Even if I am more skilled in refining pills, it is still a good thing. Thinking of this, Qin Shujian directly spent 1 billion life source to upgrade the Celestial Light Alchemy Tome. Compared to his current 30 billion life source, 1 billion life source was not too much. As the life source was consumed, a mysterious feeling surged from his heart. This mysterious phenomenon lasted for about half an hour before it gradually dissipated. Qin Shujian opened his eyes with a somewhat puzzled look in his eyes. The breakthrough just now, he seemed to have comprehended something, but also seemed to have not comprehended anything. However, a feeling of good fortune surged from the bottom of his heart, making him more proficient in alchemy. When he looked at the attribute panel again, as expected, the celestial light alchemy tome did not break through the shackles of the master realm. The next upgrade will probably require 100 billion. This matter will be discussed in the future. Qin Shujian did not care about this matter anymore. Spending 1 billion life source was purely to test the waters. As for the future, it would be discussed in the future. Subsequently, he then took out some materials from his storage ring. Soon after, he took out a cauldron and began to refine pills in the courtyard. This time, he was going to refine the marrow-cleansing pill. There were strong and weak marrow-cleansing pills. The weak ones were only level 3 pills. The strong ones were able to reach the level of level 8 pills. As for the effect, naturally, the higher the level, the better. If a level 3 marrow-cleansing pill was taken, the effect would be average. Although it could step into the cultivation world, it was still unknown whether it could break through the basic realm. As for the level 8 marrow-cleansing pill, after ordinary people took it, they would not be much weaker than genius cultivators. Now, Qin Shujian was going to refine the level 8 marrow-cleansing pill. After all, he had snatched Ningbo from Gong Ming's hands, so he had to give him some benefits. Otherwise, he would lose face in front of Gong Mingze. What Qin Shujian was going to do now? It was to let Ningbo understand. As a top sect, the Yuan sect was not something that Gong Mingze and other unorthodox cultivators could compare to. Refining the marrow-cleansing pill was not difficult. After throwing in some spiritual herbs, Qin Shujian immediately began refining. Half a day later, 3 pills came out of the furnace, turning into streams of light as they came out in an orderly manner. As soon as they came out, on top of the 3 green pills, there was a faint yellow mist, giving people a mysterious feeling. This is marrow-cleansing pill? Holding the 3 pills in his hand, Qin Shujian's face was a little stunned. The marrow-cleansing pill in front of him was a little different from what he had expected. His spiritual sense fell. The 3 pills suddenly appeared in his perception. After a long time, Qin Shujian came back to his senses. Looking at the pills in his hand, his expression was a little strange. The level 8 marrow-cleansing pill seems to contain the same medicinal power as a level 9 pill. Is this a problem with the ingredients, or is it because I broke through the celestial light alchemy scroll? He recalled the scene when he was refining the pills. The pills put in the furnace were basically the standard ingredients needed to refine the level 8 marrow-cleansing pill. In this way, the problem must be with him. Finding the problem, Qin Shujian's eyes suddenly burst with light. Refining a level 8 pill, but the effect is comparable to a level 9 pill. Then if I were to refine a level 9 pill, wouldn't the effect be stronger than a level 9 pill? 9th level medicinal pills are already the top medicinal pills known today. Then, what level is above the 9th level? Sacred, divine, or immortal? A few words that he had heard in his previous life appeared in Qin Shujian's mind. Immediately, he thought of another matter. There were no pills above level 9 in the Great Xiao Empire. Therefore, level 9 pills are the top. Even a treasure like the creation pill, which goes against the natural order, belongs to the level 9 category. In this case, if I were to refine a divine pill whose medicinal power exceeds that of all level 9 pills, wouldn't I be able to create a higher level? At that time, if I want to call it sacred, divine, and immortal, I will call it immortal. The more he thought, the more excited Qin Shujian's expression became. This was not a small matter. For tens of thousands of years, the strongest pill of the human race was level 9. There had never been an existence that surpassed level 9. If he broke through this layer of shackles and created a level above level 9, then all the alchemists in the world would have to respect him. Previously, Qin Shujian was still worried about not having enough alchemists. But if this news spread, then all the alchemists of the human race would flock over. When that time came, would the Sky Origin sect still need to worry about not having enough alchemists? Qin Shujian took a deep breath and said, "But this matter cannot be rushed. If I want to refine a level 9 pill or above, it must be witnessed by everyone in the world. Otherwise, it will be difficult to convince the masses. In this way, my identity as a Pill Dao Grandmaster will also be exposed. But this is not a big problem. In any case, he was already a level 2 Grandmaster. In that case, 1 more Alchemy Grandmaster and 3 Dao Grandmasters was barely acceptable. Moreover, he had already ascended to the Diviner Realm. There were many things that he did not need to worry about. No one would act against a Diviner Realm cultivator just because of an illusory guess. Moreover, this Diviner Realm cultivator was a level 2 Array Grandmaster. Such an expert. Even an ordinary Saint Realm Master might not be able to take him down. Unless the person who acted was at the Almighty level. It was just that there were very few Almighty experts. At present, the only Almighty existence in the human race was the Imperial Court. But in Qin Shijian's opinion, the Imperial Court should not make any moves. After thinking it over, strictly speaking, this matter was still beneficial to him. Not only was it beneficial to him, but it was also beneficial to the entire Yuan sect. The Smithing Hall and the Array Formation Hall have attracted a group of people. Although there are no master-level experts overseeing them now, there is no lack of superior-level cultivators. On the other hand, the Alchemy Hall has only been supported by Xinhua from the beginning to the end. Now that there are more and more disciples in the sect, there is also a greater demand for high-level pills. Xinhua alone is still far from enough. Recruiting alchemists was something that must be done. Or else, he could not let a sect master like him refine pills every day. It would be a little unreasonable for a Diviner Realm cultivator to stay in the sect and refine pills without doing anything serious. He shook his head. Qin Shijian got up and walked out of the courtyard. After the time spent refining pills, a day and night had passed. Cultivators rarely slept. Most of the time, they sat cross-legged and meditated to cultivate and nurture their spirit. For Qin Shijian, his concept of time was already very vague. With a few thousand years of lifespan on him, a day or two was just a drizzle. He was even thinking about it. If he found a deep mountain and hid in an old forest one day and came out a few thousand years later, would the world have changed? People who have too much free time always tend to think too much. Qin Shijian suddenly broke into laughter. His feet moved as he walked towards the residence of the outer court disciples. Bai Chang was sitting in the inner hall and drinking tea. As one of the deacons in charge of the outer sect disciples, his life was quite comfortable. Other than having to go out to kill some demonic beasts at a fixed time to complete the assessment, there was nothing else to do. For this, Bai Chang even deliberately suppressed his realm to avoid breaking through too quickly and not being able to complete the assessment. However, he also understood that this was not a long-term solution. Sooner or later, the sect would come up with countermeasures. Before that, Bai Chang was also happy to be carefree, especially in charge of the outer sect disciples. Although there were not many benefits on the surface and the competition was not great, the power was not small and there were also many benefits secretly. Those outer sect elders were all cultivating in seclusion. The ones who were really in charge were the outer sect deacons like them. And the outer sect disciples were the most numerous among all the sect disciples. Like this, one after another. There were too many things that could be operated. "Deacon Bai, you're in a good mood." A hearty laugh sounded and a young man walked in from outside. Bai Chang's hand that was holding the teacup paused slightly. Then he looked at the person and said indifferently, "I was wondering who it was." "So it's you. What's the matter? What brings you here today?" "I'm here today to ask about something." Ji He sat down naturally and then cupped his hands and said, "What's the matter?" Bai Chang replied blandly. An inner sect disciple was not worthy of his attention. In terms of true status, even elite disciples would have to lower their heads in front of him. The title of deacon was not just for show. Even if he was just an outer sect deacon, it was still the same. However, Ji He's strength was not weak. Although he was only in the physical invulnerability realm now, it would not be a problem for him to break through to the spirit god realm in the future. Once he broke through to the spirit god realm, he would definitely apply for identity advancement. At that time, he would also be regarded as an elite disciple. So, Bai Chang did not give him any attitude. Or else, he would teach Ji-hee a lesson just because he entered the inner hall without permission. Ji-hee said, I heard that Deacon Jiao brought a person here yesterday. I wonder if Deacon Bai knows about this. Why? What do you think? Bai Chang understood in his heart. Then he glanced at Ji-hee and sneered. In his mind, Ji-hee was proud and arrogant. Yesterday, Jia-hee brought a person here. He heard that the person was also brought into the sect by Qin Shujian and was suspected to be a disciple candidate. Now that he came here, it must be for this matter. Ji-hee said with a faint smile. I'm just a little curious about the new disciple, so I want to ask Deacon Bai. While speaking, he took out a small jade box and pushed it in front of Bai Chang. I don't need much information. I just want to know more about him. I hope Deacon can help me. Hearing that, Bai Chang raised his eyebrows slightly and then opened the jade box. There was a round elixir inside. With the appearance of the elixir, a faint medicinal fragrance spread. 4th level elixir. Seeing this, Bai Chang looked a little surprised. 4th level elixir was not ordinary. To exchange for such an elixir in the sect, it would cost a lot of contribution points. Seeing this elixir, Bai Chang found that Ji-hee was richer than he thought. Seeing this, Ji-hee chuckled and said, This is just some of my goodwill. I hope Deacon Bai won't refuse. He was sure that Bai Chang would accept the elixir. After all, Ji-hee also knew Bai Chang well. Or else, he would not come to visit with the elixir now. However, after glancing at the elixir, Bai Chang closed the jade box and put it back. He said with a faint smile, Unfortunately, I still know the rules. What does Deacon Bai mean? Ji-hee frowned. Nothing. If there's nothing else, you'd better go back. While speaking, Bai Chang picked up the teacup and took a sip. 4th level elixir was good, but it was hot to hold. He knew that Ningbo was very likely to be Qin Shujian's man. Once he offended Qin Shujian, not to mention a 4th level elixir, even a 9th level elixir might not be able to save his life. What should be touched? What should not be touched? Bai Chang was very clear in his heart. Otherwise, he would not have been sitting in the position of an outer deacon for several years without any action. After all, it was because he knew how to conduct himself. He knew who he could offend and who he could not. If it were other times, Bai Chang might give Ji-hee face and make friends with this person who was about to be promoted to an elite disciple. But now, he did not have this idea. In the sect, as long as one was not a fool, he would know who to stand on. Looking at the jade box that was pushed back, Ji-hee's face was a little ugly. After a long time, he restrained the gloominess on his face. Deacon Bai, I don't have any other intention. I just want to know more. Why do you have to refuse? Ji-hee, you're still too inexperienced. Deacon Bai, you have to understand that there are some things you can touch and some things you can't touch. Don't think that you can really do whatever you want just because you have some power among the inner disciples. Bai Chang took a sip of tea. Looking at Ji-hee's gradually darkening face, he could not help laughing. Some things you think you can hide from the world. In fact, others are watching. It's just a small matter that can't catch people's attention, so no one cares about it. But if you jump too much, it's not a good thing. And to be honest, if you want to have any ideas about Ningbo, you're still far from it. At this point, Bai Chang was also a little bored. He directly waved his hand and said, You can go. This time I'll pretend that you didn't come. Next time think carefully before you do something. Some people are born not to be touched by you. Sitting there, Ji-hee's face turned green and white. No one knew what he was thinking. Bai Chang's words had already reached this point. If he still insisted, he would be asking for a snub. Thinking of this, he put away the jade box on the table, then stood up and said in a deep voice, This time I was rude. I hope Deacon Bai won't take it to heart. After that, He directly turned and left without waiting for Bai Chang to speak. Looking at his back, Bai Chang shook his head and said, "At least you have some intelligence. You didn't really make a scene here. Otherwise, your inner disciple's life will probably be over." It was true that Ji-hee was a genius. Otherwise, he wouldn't have reached the level of physical invulnerability so easily. But there was one thing to know. The thing that Yuan sect didn't lack the least was geniuses. But it's a pity that it's a 4th level elixir. If I could get it, it would be worth a lot of contribution points. Thinking of the 4th level elixir that was taken away, Bai Chang felt a toothache. No matter what, the elixir was still good. Seeing a 4th level elixir slip away from his hands, he also felt a heartache. Sigh, why don't I get Ji-hee back and ask him if he needs any help? Maybe I can get the elixir back? Bai Chang had another thought in his mind. But soon, he gave up this idea. Ji-hee wasn't a fool. This time, he obviously came for Ningbo. That was why he was willing to pay such a price. If it was an ordinary person, he wouldn't pay such a price. Thinking of this, Bai Chang shook his head again. Ningbo looks poor. There isn't much to get from him. If this goes on, I won't be able to open the pot. I see that Deacon Bai is living a comfortable life. How can you not be able to open the pot? Who? Bai Chang's expression changed slightly and he shouted sternly. While speaking, he spread out his divine thought wildly but didn't find any clues. For a moment, Bai Chang's expression was extremely solemn. To be able to hide from his perception, the opponent's strength couldn't be underestimated. He was also an expert at LV3 spiritual martial realm. Even if a prominent divine realm expert spoke, he wouldn't be able to detect it. The opponent's strength wasn't simple. Could it be a great cultivator at the god martial realm? Bai Chang couldn't be sure. Doubts surged in his heart. However, he calmed down on the surface and shouted in a deep voice. Who are you? Why don't you show yourself? Are you complaining that our Yuan sect isn't a good host? When he mentioned the 2 words Yuan Zong, he deliberately emphasized the tone of his voice. All of a sudden, a gust of wind blew in his face. A man in a green robe had unknowingly sat in Ji-hee's original seat. After seeing the appearance of the man in a green robe, Bai Chang was shocked. Without thinking, he bowed and said with fear, Bai Chang didn't know that sect leader was here. My words offended you. I hope sect leader can forgive me. Deacon Bai, you don't have to be so courteous. Please sit down. Thank you, sect leader. Bai Chang straightened up. Looking at Qin Shujian's gentle face, he felt uneasy. He didn't expect that Qin Shujian would come at this time. No. He definitely didn't just come. He must have been here a long time ago. He just didn't show up until now. Bai Chang's mind raced. When he thought of this possibility, he broke out in a cold sweat again. Qin Shujian had arrived a long time ago. He must have known about the conversation between him and Ji-hee. Fortunately, I didn't agree to Ji-hee's request. Otherwise, my position as a deacon would have ended. Ji-hee almost ruined my life. Bai Chang was slightly relieved. At the same time, he was a little angry with Ji-hee. If he had wavered a little, losing his position as a deacon was a light punishment. He might even lose his life. Chapter 502. Wait. Just as Bai Chang was about to heave a sigh of relief, he suddenly remembered that he was talking to himself just now, and sweat appeared on his forehead. At this moment, Bai Chang wanted to give himself 2 slaps. Stupid mouth. No, he had to change his habit of talking to himself in the future. Otherwise, he would get himself killed sooner or later. Deacon Bai, you don't have to be so formal. I'm here for Ningbo. Looking at Bai Chang, who was scaring himself, Qin Shujian was speechless. After breaking through to the diviner realm, he could sense some of Bai Chang's psychological fluctuations. Although he didn't sense much. Vaguely, he knew a little bit. This effect was better for people with lower cultivation. On the contrary, people with higher cultivation would be more thoughtful. It was just as Bai Chang thought. He actually arrived here early in the morning. Qin Shujian didn't show up because he saw the two talking. As for what he did, he didn't feel angry or approved. Instead, he looked at it calmly. Some disciples fought for it. This was a good thing. At least, the sect wouldn't be like a pool of stagnant water without any vitality. No matter where it was, there wouldn't be true peace. Only by fighting could there be greater progress. As for the so-called peace, it was either that they were so disheartened that they couldn't be bothered to fight anymore, or they had a bigger plan. Compared to these, Qin Shujian was more willing to see these disciples fight and fight. As long as they didn't betray the sect and didn't die, they could do whatever they wanted. Anyway, he was in charge of the sect. The sky wouldn't fall. It would be even better if there were a few more experts in the sect as they fought among themselves. Yuan sect didn't lack people now. What they lacked were experts who could take charge. Bai Chang had no idea what Qin Shujian was thinking. However, seeing that he wasn't angry, he was slightly relieved. Hearing that, Bai Chang immediately cupped his hands and said, "Sect Master, please take a seat. I'll bring Ningbo here right away." "Okay, go ahead." Qin Shujian nodded. Then, Bai Chang immediately left the inner hall and walked outside. In less than a quarter of an hour, Bai Chang had returned and Ningbo was by his side. Compared to yesterday, today, after washing up, Ningbo looked more energetic and more pleasing to the eye. Pleasing to the eye? Qin Shujian was startled by the thought that popped into his mind. What the hell? Since when had he been reduced to the point where he found a man pleasing to the eye? Qin Shujian quickly dismissed the idea in his mind. He felt that he might have been cultivating in boredom for too long, causing his mental state to be a little abnormal. Looks like I'll have to visit the alchemy hall in 2 days. A thought emerged in his mind, and then his gaze fell on Ningbo. At this moment, Ningbo also bowed. "Disciple greets sect master." "Yes." Qin Shujian nodded, then looked at Bai Chang and said, "I need a quiet secret room. You should have one here, right?" "Of course there is," Bai Chang hurriedly answered. Soon, Bai Chang arranged a quiet secret room for Qin Shujian and Ningbo. This secret room, normally, he would use it for his own cultivation. There was also a powerful defensive array outside to prevent others from disturbing him. Now that Qin Shujian had spoken, this secret room was naturally for him to use. After arranging the secret room, Bai Chang backed out of the room. In the secret room, only Qin Shujian and Ningbo were left. "Sit cross-legged," Qin Shujian said lightly. Ningbo sat cross-legged as told. Subsequently, Qin Shujian took out a marrow-cleansing pill from the storage ring. "Open your mouth." After saying that, Ningbo opened his mouth, and then a pill fell into his mouth. The pill entered his mouth. His open mouth also consciously closed. Then he felt that the pill turned into a warm current after entering his mouth, falling into his throat. Immediately after, a surge of power spread directly in his body, flowing through his whole body. The sudden change made Ningbo somewhat at a loss. In this regard, Qin Shujian was not surprised. He said softly, "Concentrate and hold your breath. Follow the spiritual aura in your body with your mind. Don't be distracted." Hearing that, Ningbo also immediately restrained his mind and closed his eyes. According to Qin Shujian's words, he followed the spiritual aura with his mind. In addition, the process of marrow cleansing may be a little painful. Just bear with it. At this time, there was a faint voice in his ear again. A little painful? Ningbo's heart slightly tightened, but he was not too worried. He thought that his willpower was still strong. However, in less than 3 seconds. "Ah!" Ningbo let out a scream and immediately forced his mouth to close. His face suddenly turned red, and the veins on his temples bulged. He looked like he was forcing himself to endure. "A little painful? This is what you meant by a little painful." Ningbo now had no strength to speak. Under the impact of this spiritual aura, he felt that his muscles and bones were twisted into a fried dough twist, as if they were completely shattered. On the other side. Qin Shujian silently looked at Ningbo, who was in pain. His perception also fell on the other party's body. His expression was a little strange. Was it that painful? It should not be to the extent of marrow cleansing. Anyway, just bear with it. It's not a big problem. You'll feel better soon. Qin Shujian thought for a while and opened his mouth to comfort him. The process of marrow cleansing. No one was allowed to meddle in it. Unless the other party really could not bear it, Qin Shujian would personally help to draw out the spiritual aura. But in this way, the effect of marrow cleansing would end halfway. So, unless it was absolutely necessary, Qin Shujian wouldn't do anything about it. Only when Ningbo was about to die, or the other party asked for help, would he intervene. Time passed little by little. Ningbo was already like a cooked shrimp. His body was curled up, and his hands were clenched into fists. The veins on his arms were bulging like dragons. Half a day later, the spiritual aura gradually dissipated. Ningbo felt the pain in his body gradually lessen. When the spiritual aura completely dissipated, he struggled to get up from the ground, but found that his body was already wrapped in a black and red filth. A foul smell came along with it. He did not care about his body's condition. Ningbo endured the stench and looked around. The secret room was still the secret room. The difference was that Qin Shujian had disappeared. Wash up and come see me. Just as he was about to speak, a familiar voice sounded in his ear. And also at this moment, the door of the secret room opened. 2 disciples carried a big bucket of water in. On the other side, inner hall, Qin Shujian sat on the main seat. As for Bai Chang, he was waiting on the side with a smile. The sect master was here. As a deacon, he did not have any status. If Qin Shujian did not say anything, Bai Chang did not even dare to sit down. Everyone knew. Qin Shujian was the sky of the entire Yuan sect. If he expelled the sect because of a disagreement, many people would be beaten back to their original state. You don't have to be nervous. I don't intend to find trouble with you this time. Qin Shujian glanced at Bai Chang and said indifferently. Hearing this, Bai Chang wiped the sweat on his forehead again. He did not know how to answer this sentence. He could only give a flattering smile. Sit down. I happen to have some questions too. Sect Master, please speak. I'll just stand. Bai Chang did not dare to sit down. Qin Shujian looked unhappy. Then, he glanced at Bai Chang. Suddenly, Bai Chang's face froze. Then, he sat down reluctantly and forced a smile. Thank you for giving me a seat. Let me ask you, how is the cultivation progress of the outer sect disciples? At present, the disciples' cultivation progress is very good. Except for the people sent by various martial arts clubs, most of the disciples recruited last time have advanced to the inner sect. Bai Chang suppressed the fear in his heart. After pondering for a while, he answered truthfully. In this regard, Qin Shujian nodded. Advance to the inner sect. The most important prerequisite was to advance to the real martial arts realm. It had only been about 2 years since the last time he accepted a disciple. To be able to advance to the real martial arts realm, one's talent was not bad. Of course, in the last disciple recruitment, many people came in with cultivation. There were not many who did not really come in contact with cultivation. But no matter what, this progress was still pretty good. Qin Shujian looked at Bai Chang and smiled faintly. Do you think that some disciples will deliberately not advance and then stay in the outer sect? This should not be so. Bai Chang's heart skipped a beat. He smiled stiffly and said, if they stay in the outer sect for too long, they will have to pay a certain amount of contribution points every month. This is not a small burden for those disciples. If they can advance to the inner sect, who would not want to? That's true. Now, I'm afraid that some people will deliberately not advance in cultivation to avoid the assessment task and exploit the loopholes in the sect rules. This is not good, Qin Shujian said with a faint smile. Bai Chang heard this and sweat broke out on his back again. But he did not dare to say anything. He only nodded and said, "Sect Master, you are right. If there is a rule, for example, if one stays in a certain realm for many years and does not break through, he will be directly expelled from the sect or sent to other places to help with the business affairs. What do you think about this, Deacon Bai?" "Well, I am just a deacon. My words carry little weight. Everything will be decided by the sect master." Bai Chang wiped the sweat on his forehead and then quickly said, "But I don't think anyone will deliberately suppress their realm and exploit the loopholes in the sect rules." "I hope so." Qin Shujian didn't say anything else. At the side, Bai Chang felt like he was sitting on pins and needles. He was not a stupid person. Qin Shujian's words were so direct that he almost named him. If he still did not understand at this time, then he was not a human being. Not long after, Ningbo walked out from inside. Seeing this, Bai Chang immediately let out a sigh of relief. Qin Shujian looked at him and saw that the blocked meridians had all been opened. There was even spirit qi left in the meridians. As for the evil qi, under the impact of the spirit qi, it had already dissipated into nothingness. Ningbo did not have a cultivation method and did not know how to absorb the spirit qi to cultivate. Or else, he could have broken through to the third level of the martial arts realm. When he finished absorbing the spirit qi, it would not be a problem for him to break through to the sixth level of the martial arts realm. It was the first time Qin Shujian used the 8th level marrow cleansing pill on someone. Such an effect. On the contrary, it was beyond his expectations. Maybe an ordinary 8th level marrow cleansing pill does not have such an effect. It is only because the marrow cleansing pill I refined is not much weaker than a 9th level one. That is why it has such an effect. Qin Shujian thought to himself. Although he had never used an 8th level marrow cleansing pill, as an alchemy grandmaster, he could figure out the effect of such a pill with a little calculation. As for Bai Chang, at this time, he also saw some clues about Ningbo's behavior. He did not know how to restrain the spirit qi in his body. Anyone with a bit of cultivation would be able to see it. Tendon changing and marrow cleansing. What a big deal. Although he was shocked, Bai Chang did not show any abnormalities on his face. "How do you feel?" Qin Shujian asked. "Sect Master, I feel more relaxed than I have ever felt before," Ningyu replied excitedly. This feeling made him feel like he had been reborn. In addition to being surprised, he respected Qin Shujian even more. Qin Shujian nodded slightly, then looked at Bai Chang and said, "I will leave Ningbo to you. I will not ask more. Sect Master, don't worry. I will do my best to teach him. Just treat everyone equally." Qin Shujian said simply and disappeared from his seat in the next moment. As for how he left, the two did not notice at all. Bai Chang said with emotion, "Sect Master is really skillful. His strength is so strong that it makes people flinch." This was a diviner. He had never seen a real diviner fight, so he was not sure if a diviner was really that strong. But from Qin Shujian, Bai Chang felt a kind of calmness. This kind of calmness was not real calmness. In his eyes, Qin Shujian's calmness was more terrible than the abyss. Soon he came back to his senses. Then he looked at Ningbo, who was standing aside, and showed a smile that he thought was warm. "Ningbo, right? I am Deacon Bai Chang of the Outer Sect. You should have seen me yesterday. Disciple greets Deacon Bai." Ningbo bowed. Bai Chang quickly stopped him and smiled. "Don't be too restrained. Come with me now. I will teach you the introductory cultivation method of our sect." Regarding Qin Shujian's words of treating everyone equally, he would not really treat everyone equally. Some words were not a problem to listen to casually, but if he really did so, then he would not be far from death. Not to mention other things. Qin Shujian had hardly come to the outer sect disciples area. This time he came specially for Ningbo, and even prepared a marrow cleansing pill for him. It was obvious. If he was not really valued by the other party, how could there be such treatment? It is ridiculous that he still wants to compete with the other party. He lost innately. Bai Chang laughed in his heart. Looking at Ningbo in front of him, another thought popped up in his mind. Speaking of which, could this be the sect master's illegitimate son outside? As soon as this thought appeared, he was immediately shocked. But after thinking about it carefully, it was not impossible. When it came to talent, there were many talented disciples in the sect. Why did Qin Shujian ignore the others and only value Ningbo so much? After thinking about it, in fact, Ningbo did not have any advantages to speak of. Even now, a marrow cleansing pill had created an extraordinary foundation for him. But there was one thing to know. Ningbo did not have an extraordinary foundation, but the marrow cleansing pill had created his extraordinary foundation. In other words, if others took the marrow cleansing pill, they could also have a foundation that was not weaker than the other party. The sect master looks young. I don't know how old he is. Although he was the head of the Cold Mountain stronghold a few years ago, not many people know what his identity was before he entered the Cold Mountain stronghold. Maybe he is the son left behind at that time. It is not impossible. The more he thought about it, the more Bai Chang felt that he was getting closer to a certain truth. Then, the way he looked at Ning Ro became even more passionate. Ning Ro couldn't understand what was going on. The son of the sect master was good. If he could please this master, he would be able to do whatever he wanted in the sect in the future. As for the deacon of the outer sect, whoever wanted to be in this position could take it. If he could satisfy the other party in the future, he might even have a place in the outer sect elder. As for the elder of the inner sect, Bai Chang did not dare to have extravagant hopes. There were too many factors to become an elder of the inner sect. Even though Test Jianfeng's strength was outstanding, he was still an elder of the outer sect. At this time, Qin Shujian had already left the outer sect disciples area. He had no idea what Bai Chang was thinking. Or else, he would definitely turn around and slap Bai Chang's head. In the next few days, Qin Shujian lived in seclusion. When he was free, he would stroll around the alchemy hall and occasionally give pointers to the disciples in alchemy. Sect Master, why are you so free recently? Xin Yuhua looked at Qin Shujian in front of her and asked with a strange expression. Since the establishment of the alchemy hall, she was not sure if he had come more than 10 times. However, in the past few days, the number of times he came had already exceeded the total number of times before. Xin Yuhua could not help but think about this unusual behavior. Hearing this, Qin Shujian said with a smile, As the sect master, I have not given pointers to the disciples in cultivation. After all, I have neglected my duty. So now I have the time to come and take a look. He couldn't possibly say that he was here to save himself because he found every man to be good-looking. After all, in the entire Yuan sect, among all the female disciples and elders, the most beautiful one should be Xin Yuhua. If she was sick, she had to be cured. If she wanted to be cured, she had to take the best medicine. In the past few days, Qin Shujian felt that he had almost recovered. Sect Master, do you know a lot about alchemy? I know a little, Qin Shujian said modestly. Hearing this, Xin Yuhua did not ask too much. He knew a little. Maybe he really knew a little. The other party was already a master of 2 daos. It was normal for him to have some research on alchemy. Moreover, from the fact that he only gave pointers to those alchemy apprentices, his cultivation in alchemy was not high. Thinking of this, Xin Yuhua chuckled and said, Sect Master, you also like alchemy? It's okay. It's just a hobby. If that's the case, then you can come to the alchemy hall often. Maybe you and I can have an exchange. The smile on Xin Yuhua's delicate face deepened. She did not say that she would give pointers to him. No matter what, Qin Shujian was the sect master. It was not very nice to say that he would give pointers. Qin Shujian laughed and said, If there is a chance, that would be great. Then it's a deal. It's a deal. After a few words, Qin Shujian stopped talking. Not long after, he suddenly took out the communication jade token and glanced at it, saying, I have other things to do, so I'll take my leave first. Elder Yuhua, go ahead. After that, Qin Shujian turned around and left the alchemy hall. Only Xin Yuhua was left in the same place, looking a little puzzled. In the martial arts hall, Qin Shujian and Jingfang sat opposite each other. There's news from the Traceless sect and the Heavenly Array sect. People from the two sects may come over in 2 days, Jingfang said in a deep voice. Yes. Qin Shujian did not express any opinion. Anyway, they were the ones who were anxious, not him. The cultivation pill was in his hands. As long as he spread the news, there would be a lot of people who wanted to buy it. The Traceless sect and the Heavenly Array sect would not make a difference. It was fine that he did not succeed in refining the pill in the past. Now that the pill had been refined, he would give the other party a month's time limit. If no one came in a month, then sorry, the cultivation pill would be sold to someone else. There was no need to say too much. The Imperial Court alone could consume all of the cultivation pills. In the cultivation world, there were many great cultivators at the peak of the divine martial arts realm. There were even more great cultivators at the peak of the divine martial arts realm in the Imperial Court. For cultivation pills, if they were lucky, they would have 4 celestial beings. If they were unlucky, they might have 1 or 2 celestial beings. No matter what, this deal was definitely not a loss. At this moment, Jingfang changed the topic and asked, I heard that sect master has accepted a disciple. Is this true? It's just a rumor. I met this person outside and he can be considered a person with great opportunities, so I gave him an opportunity to cultivate. As for how far he can go, it depends on his own luck. If I want to accept a disciple, he will definitely not be a mediocre person. Qin Shujian looked proud and said with a faint smile. Jingfang nodded in agreement. Sect master is a celestial being and the sect master of a top sect. How can the disciple you accept be a mediocre person? Only a genius is qualified to be your disciple and inherit the legacy of the sect. Let's not talk about this matter. Qin Shujian shook his head and did not want to talk too much about this matter. Seeing this, Jingfang did not say anything more. Instead, a smile appeared on his old face and he said, I heard that sect master has been staying in the alchemy hall for the past few days. Could it be that something good is about to happen to our sect? Looking at the ambiguous smile on Jingfang's face, Qin Shujian was a little speechless. Why didn't he realize that the other party was so gossipy before? To this, he could only reply helplessly. First Elder, it's fine if I talk about this matter. If it gets out and tarnishes Elder Yuhua's reputation, that would be bad. I went to the alchemy hall because I was interested in alchemy and wanted to learn and observe. I see. Jingfang was suddenly enlightened. Just as Qin Shujian picked up the teacup and was about to put it to his lips, he paused again. However, speaking of which, Elder Yuhua's talent is not bad. He's a superior grade alchemist at such a young age. He might have a chance to reach the Guru realm in the future. If such a talent is abducted by others, it will be a loss to the sect. As the saying goes, keep the goodies within the family. Sect master, don't you agree? Chapter 503. In the next few days, Qin Shujian rarely went to the alchemy hall. There was no other way. There was too much gossip. Even someone like Jingfang was gossiping, let alone others. There was nothing he could do about it. Who asked him to not go to the alchemy hall usually? During this period of time, he kept going to the alchemy hall. It was hard for people not to notice him. Other than avoiding suspicion. The other reason why Qin Shujian did not go to the alchemy hall was because he seemed to have returned to normal. At least, it was not like before. When he saw a man, he would feel that he was handsome. Since then, Qin Shujian stayed in the forbidden area and cultivated silently. Although the cultivation of a celestial being would be very slow in the future, no matter how slow it was, it could still accumulate. Every little bit counted. One would not be able to travel 1,000 miles without taking a few steps. That was probably the reason. However, Qin Shujian did not blindly go into seclusion. Every day, he would take some time out to take a walk to ease his mood. It's really easy to indulge in comfortable days. Qin Shujian looked at the clouds in the sky. He actually had a trace of nostalgia for his current life. But soon, this trace of nostalgia was cut off by him. It was fine to rest occasionally, but if he did not go down, it would be his death. In terms of fear of death, Qin Shujian believed that he should be able to rank in the top 3 of the sect. He had done so many things because he wanted to live longer. As long as he kept increasing his strength. Regardless of whether it was the players, demons, or the 3 continents, they could only stay by the side. But if he was not strong enough, then many things would become troublesome. Thinking of this, Qin Shujian sighed again. Strength, strength, how can it be so easy to increase one's strength? The celestial being is just the beginning, the supreme being, and even the immortals. Now, every step is as difficult as ascending to the heavens. 10 levels of the celestial being, every step is like ascending to the heavens. That's probably it. Sometimes he thought about it too. If he was very weak and did not know many things, would he not have to think so much? In the end, Qin Shujian still abandoned this idea. Because this idea was complete nonsense. Perhaps those who were weak didn't need to think so much, but at the same time, they died without knowing why. In the end, only when one's fist was big enough and hard enough would one have the right to speak. At this moment, the communication jade amulet in his storage ring rang. Qin Shujian took it out and read the message. Soon after, he turned around and left. Inside the inherited martial hall, Yin Banqing and Fan Xinglan sat on the left and right. Sitting in the main seat was Qin Shujian. Seeing each other, Yin Banqing and Fan Xinglan were also very surprised. Both of them thought that they were the only ones who had made a deal with Yuan Zong for the revival fortune pill. But now it seemed that, however, it was not a family matter. Both of their expressions were a little unsightly at this. Neither Yin Banqing nor Fan Xinglan knew how many revival pills Qin Shujian had refined this time. If there was only one, then the 2 families would have to fight for it. In other words, originally, they only needed to pay the normal price. Now, it might even be doubled. Therefore, when Qin Shujian appeared, Yin Banqing said first, "Sect Master Qin, I immediately rushed over after receiving your message. I heard that the revival fortune pill has been successfully refined. Is that true?" "That's right. Sect Master Qin, you and I had a promise earlier. If the revival fortune pill is refined, there will definitely be one for the Heavenly Array sect." Fan Xinglan immediately followed up. Hearing that, Yin Banqing's face darkened even more. What did he mean? He wanted to take the lead in snatching the revival fortune pill. Just as Yin Banqing was about to say something, Qin Shujian stopped the 2 of them and said with a faint smile, "Don't worry, the revival fortune pill is naturally refined. However, Elder Fan, there is one thing that you must not be mistaken about. The Heavenly Array sect will have a share of the revival fortune pill, but the prerequisite is that the Heavenly Array sect must be able to pay this price. Otherwise, I have no other choice." Fan Xinglan's eyes flickered, and he replied with a normal expression. "What Sect Master Qin said is reasonable. Of course, we have to compete for the spirit pill with financial resources." Yin Banqing wanted to laugh, but he suddenly stopped himself from laughing. Because he realized, if it was a competition with financial resources, it seemed that he might not be able to win against Fan Xinglan. One was a top sect. The other was a large sect. In comparison, the Traceless sect was innately weaker. Not to mention that the Heavenly Array sect controlled the cultivation world of the Fallen Moon Mansion. He could not guess how many resources they had. Thinking that the possibility of him competing for the revival fortune pill was not high, Yin Banqing was a little anxious at this time. It would be fine if he didn't know about the existence of the revival fortune pill. Whether he could break through to the diviner realm or not depended on his own luck. But now that he knew about the existence of the revival fortune pill, great hope was reignited in him. If his hope was shattered at this time, it would be worse than killing him. May I ask Sect Master Qin, how many revival fortune pills have been refined this time? Elder Yin, don't worry. The Traceless Sect and the Heavenly Array Sect only need one revival fortune pill each. I can satisfy this. Qin Shujian's words dispelled the concerns in Yin Banqing's heart. Yes. That was to say, there were at least 2 revival fortune pills. Hearing this sentence, the two looked at each other and breathed a sigh of relief in their hearts. Especially Yin Banqing. He didn't have the confidence to compete with the Heavenly Array Sect. Now that he didn't have to compete, it was naturally the best. As for Fang Xinglan, he had similar thoughts at this time. Although he was not afraid of the Traceless Sect, one more sect competing was equivalent to one more loss. The Heavenly Array Sect was not rich now, so it was better to save as much as possible. Thinking of this, Fang Xinglan's gaze fell on Qin Shujian again, and he asked, Sect Master Qin, how can you take out the revival fortune pill? I won't say too much. 100 spirit stones. Whoever can take out 100 spirit stones can take away the revival fortune pill. Qin Shujian stretched out a finger and said with a smile. After saying this, Fang Xinglan and Yin Banqing's expressions changed. Even if they had expected it, they were still stunned by Qin Shujian's words. 100 spirit stones. One must know that the market price of one spirit stone was 10 million, so 100 spirit stones was equivalent to 1 billion. However, it was not sold at this price at all. Even if it was 3 or 4 times higher, it might not be possible to buy it. In other words, 100 spirit stones was at least 3 or 4 billion. And it might not be possible to have it. This price made Yin Banqing's expression change, and also made Fang Xinglan's expression change. Especially the Traceless Sect. 100 spirit stones. Even if they sold everything, they might not be able to gather it. So, when Qin Shujian finished speaking, Yin Banqing said involuntarily, Sect Master Qin, 100 spirit stones is too high. I wonder if it can be exchanged for something else. The revival fortune pill is extremely difficult to refine. It is a top 9th level spirit pill. It can go against the natural order and allow people whose qi and blood have declined to return to their former peak. There is hope for them to break through to the celestial being realm. Qin Shujian shook his head and said solemnly, To be honest, 100 spirit stones in exchange for a chance to break through to the celestial being realm is really not a high price. If I sell these pills to the Imperial Court will send the spirit stones over without hesitation. You can think about it carefully. If the Traceless Sect and the Heavenly Array Sect have one more celestial being, the foundation of their sects will definitely increase greatly. 100 spirit stones may seem a lot, but a sect with a celestial being in charge will not be afraid of a mere 100 spirit stones. In the future, when the territory grows, we can kill our way in and snatch it. That's about the same price. At this point, Qin Shujian paused for a moment and continued. 1 year later, no, there is less than a year now. Soon, the human emperor will break the restriction of heaven and earth and connect the 3 continents. Even the human emperor covets the 3 continents. Although they may not be full of resources, they will definitely not be lacking. At that time, only the celestial beings will be qualified to intervene and divide the resources of the 3 continents. The eastern continent is already so rich in resources. I don't need to say much about the other 3 continents. You should be able to imagine it. To be honest, if it weren't for my friendship with the 2 of you, I wouldn't necessarily sell the cultivation pills at such a low price. Qin Shujian spoke passionately. Fang Xinglan and Yin Banqing fell into dead silence. 100 spirit stones were not a lot, and he was selling it at a low price. To be honest, if it weren't for the fact that their strength didn't allow them to, they would have beaten Qin Shujian up. However, the other party was right. If they didn't want it, and Qin Shujian sold it to the Imperial Court, the Imperial Court would probably want it. After all, 100 spirit stones could buy a celestial being. In the long run, This deal would actually be a huge profit. The key was that the Imperial Court had a lot of resources. Even if the breakthrough failed, they would only lose 100 spirit stones, which was not a big problem. But the problem was, the Heavenly Array sect and the Traceless sect were not comparable to the Imperial Court at all. 100 spirit stones would be considered a minor injury to his bones. That would be the equivalent of selling iron pots and pans. It would be fine if the success rate was 100%. However, one cultivation pill was just a chance to break through. If it failed, it would be a double loss. However, Qin Shujian mentioned the 3 continents, which made the 2 of them hesitate. 1 year later, the heaven and earth restriction would be broken. Needless to say, it would definitely be an earth-shattering battle that would affect the entire human clan. At that time, if one wasn't a celestial being, he wouldn't be qualified to intervene. If a celestial being were to enter such a battle that would affect the human clan, he would definitely die. After all, during the Battle of the Imperial City, countless divine martial cultivators had fallen. Even many saints and almighties had died. That time, it was just an internal conflict of the human clan. After thinking about it, Fang Xinglan gritted his teeth, nodded, and said, 100 spirit stones is fine, but Sect Master Qin needs to give me some time. I'll send 100 spirit stones to your sect in half a year at most. Unlike Yin Banqing, if he had the cultivation pill, the success rate of breaking through would be 70%. Although there was still a 30% chance of failure, however, for Fang Xinglan, the latter 30% was negligible. Because no one would have a 100% chance of breaking through to the celestial being realm. 70% was not the highest, but it was close. Hearing this, Qin Shujian hesitated. Half a year seems a bit long. Speaking of this, he looked at Fang Xinglan again as if he had made a great decision. However, on account of my friendship with Elder Fang, half a year is fine. However, if I give it again in half a year, it won't be 100 spirit stones, but 105 spirit stones. The extra 5 spirit stones will be counted as interest. After all, 100 spirit stones can do a lot of things in half a year. Elder Fang won't let me suffer a loss, right? Fang Xinglan's face was dark. 5 spirit stones in half a year's time. What kind of loan shark was this? Even loan sharks wouldn't be so excessive. Moreover, how could 100 spirit stones generate a profit of 5 spirit stones in half a year's time? Did they really think that spirit stones were cabbages that could be easily produced? Suppressing the urge to beat someone up, Fang Xinglan's voice was a little cold. 5 spirit stones is a little too much. The Heavenly Array sect can at most pay another 2 spirit stones in interest. That's fine. Since we're good friends, I'll give you 2 pills then. Qin Shujian waved his hand generously and settled this matter. Earning 2 spirit stones in half a year's time was not a bad thing. If it was possible. He also wanted to ask Fang Xinglan if he could give it to him later. At most, he would add a few more spirit stones. However, looking at Fang Xinglan's expression, Qin Shujian still didn't say this out loud. Obviously, taking out so many spirit stones was not the limit of the Heavenly Array sect, but it was not too far from it. In addition, he also hoped that Fang Xinglan could successfully break through. At that time, the 2 sects would form an alliance to deal with the matter of the 3 continents, and Fang Xinglan would not be alone and helpless. If the Traceless sect could also break through, it would be even better. While thinking, Qin Shujian's gaze fell on Yin Banqing as he spoke slowly. Elder Yin, if you really can't take out so many spirit stones in a short period of time, you might as well consider paying in installments. I also have some detailed payment procedures here. No need, thank you for your kindness, Sect Master Qin. Yin Banqing immediately refused. What a joke, paying in installments. Needless to say, the interest involved would definitely be frighteningly high. When that time came, perhaps after he broke through to the heavenly realm, he would have to work for the other party for free. If the breakthrough failed, it would be a problem whether the Traceless sect could repay this debt in the next 1,000 years. At that time, if the Traceless sect was annexed by Fang Xinglan because of this, he would not be able to die in peace. Like the Heavenly Array sect, the Traceless sect will send the same amount of spirit stones to your sect in half a year at most. After thinking about it, Yin Banqing still made the same choice as Fang Xinglan. There was no other way. The Traceless sect was really poor. Even the Heavenly Array sect had to postpone it, let alone him. If the situation allowed, Yin Banqing still hoped to postpone it a little longer, but in the situation just now, he directly extinguished the thought in his heart. Hearing this, Qin Shujian looked a little regretful, but it soon disappeared. Then, he took out 2 jade bottles from his storage ring and sent them to the 2 of them with his divine sense. Seeing this, the 2 of them reached out and took it. There is a creation pill in each jade bottle, but be careful when you open it. Don't let the pill run away. Let me make it clear in advance, if the pill runs away by itself, I won't compensate you. Qin Shujian reminded them. The pill ran away? No way. Fang Xinglan held the jade bottle with one hand and could feel the sealing array on it, as well as the faint vibration coming from the bottle, as if an expert was shaking the jade bottle. As expected of the creation pill, it's really shocking. Seeing this, he did not have the slightest doubt. Only this kind of top-grade pill had such strength. Once a pill was formed, its strength was equivalent to that of a strong cultivator. On the other side, Yin Banqing also held the jade bottle in his hand. He was not an array master, and did not understand the sealing array on the jade bottle, but he could still sense the sealing power. Qin Shujian said, "The jade bottle is a spiritual weapon that I personally refined. I'll give it to you as a gift." Okay. Fang Xinglan and Yin Banqing looked at each other, nodded, and replied with a simple, "Okay." You want us to thank you for a spiritual weapon jade bottle? Thinking of the 2 spirit stones that they had been cheated of, they had no desire to speak. Putting away the jade bottle, Fang Xinglan got up first, cupped his hands, and said, "Now that I have the creation pill, I have to go back and prepare for the breakthrough. I won't stay any longer. After I break through to the heavenly realm, I'll come and discuss with Sect Master Qin." After that, he also cupped his hands towards Yin Banqing, then turned and left. As for Yin Banqing, he wanted to leave too. However, Fang Xinglan's last sentence caused him to have other thoughts. Discuss? Discuss what? Did the Origin sect and the Heavenly Array sect have some agreement? For a moment, many thoughts surged in Yin Banqing's mind. However, he did not think too much about it. The most important thing now was to break through to the heavenly realm. As for other things, they could be put aside for later. Sect Master Qin, I have to leave too. After I break through to the heavenly realm, I'll definitely come and thank you. Elder Yin, take care. Goodbye. Yin Banqing also left the inherited martial hall. The hall that originally had 3 people was now left with only 1 person. 204 spirit stones. It's not a loss. Qin Shujian rubbed his chin with a smile on his face. Although the creation pill was a top-grade spirit pill that could give them a chance to break through to the heavenly realm. But seriously speaking, the effect of this pill was very simple. It reversed the congenital state and restored the dormant qi and blood to the peak state. For people like Yin Banqing and Fang Xinglan, it was not that they could not break through to the heavenly realm, but because of the limitation of qi and blood, the probability of them breaking through to the heavenly realm was extremely low. Only after taking the creation pill could the probability of success increase. But for those cultivators with vigorous qi and blood, they did not need the creation pill at all to break through to the heavenly realm. In this way, the creation pill was very important in the eyes of some, but in the eyes of others, it was dispensable. In addition, although the refining materials were precious, the cost of refining 1 set of materials was about 20 spirit stones. And Qin Shujian used a total of 2 sets of materials to refine the creation pill this time. In other words, he used the cost of 40 spirit stones to earn more than 200 spirit stones. The remaining 2 creation pills in his hands were also about the same price. In this way, without taking into account the cost, the profit directly increased by 10 times. Damn, refining pills is really a huge profit. He did not know before calculating, but after calculating, Qin Shujian was shocked. He already knew that refining pills was very profitable. But at that time, he only earned a small amount of money from refining pills, so he did not seriously calculate how much the profit was. But it was different now. The cost of refining the creation pill was high to begin with. One set of materials cost 20 spirit stones. But the profit was 10 times the cost. If that was the case, it was very scary. No, if that's the case, the other alchemists have made a fortune. Qin Shujian shook his head again, overturning his previous guess. The other alchemists, even if they were alchemy grandmasters, had a high probability of failure. To refine a furnace of creation pills, they might have to fail 3 or 4 times, and there might not be as many as 2 pills in one furnace. After calculating seriously, although there was still profit from refining pills, it was not as exaggerated as 10 times. However, Qin Shujian was different. He was originally at the peak of a certain level of alchemy grandmasters, and now after another upgrade, he had completed a new transformation. Although there was no manifestation yet, Qin Shujian was sure that his success rate of refining a level 9 pill was not comparable to that of other alchemy grandmasters. The failure rate was low. The success rate was high, and the number of pills produced was also high. The profit he made was naturally not comparable to that of other alchemy grandmasters. Thinking of this, Qin Shujian muttered to himself, "Why don't I just refine pills in the sect? With such high profits, if I refine pills in peace to exchange for spirit stones, maybe my cultivation will be faster." At this moment, he really had this idea. He didn't calculate carefully before, so he didn't know that refining pills was so profitable. Now that he knew, he was really tempted. After a long time, Qin Shujian calmed down, shook his head, and said, "After all, refining pills for a long time is not a solution. Without fighting, it would be embarrassing if I stayed for a long time and was killed by someone of a higher level. In addition, the alchemy materials for level 9 pill recipes are not easy to collect. Now that I already need so many spirit stones for one cultivation, I will definitely need more in the future. At that time, the spirit stones I earn from refining pills may not be as fast as the spirit chi I breathe. But occasionally refining some pills and selling them is really a way. At least in a short time, it can solve the crisis of spirit stones." After knowing the benefits of refining pills, he couldn't give up this lucrative industry. He still had to earn money. No matter where, without money, many things couldn't work. At the same time, Qin Shujian's idea of recruiting alchemists became more and more urgent. The more high-level alchemists there were in the sect, the more profits they could generate for the sect. In the past, he couldn't recruit alchemists, and he thought it was because there were few alchemists. Now it seemed. It was clear that those sects firmly controlled the alchemists in their hands and wouldn't let these money trees go. This was the reason why he couldn't recruit any high-level alchemists. After all, to make money, only alchemists of upper grade and higher level could do it. Like those low-grade and middle-grade alchemists, the probability of failure was far higher than the probability of success. Every time they refined pills, they would lose a lot of money. This was also the reason why many sects went bankrupt unknowingly when training alchemists. Because the cost was too high. It was true that high-level alchemists made money, but before becoming a high-level alchemist, they had to spend money. If they could break through to the upper grade, it was naturally not a loss. But if the breakthrough failed, they would lose everything. Chapter 504. After obtaining the creation pill, Fan Xinglan immediately rushed towards the Heavenly Array sect. At this moment, with the creation pill in hand, he could no longer hold back his urge to break through to the Heaven realm. However, breaking through to the Heaven realm was no small matter. He had to break through in the Heavenly Array sect. When Fan Xinglan rushed back, Mu Lian had already received the news. "Uncle Master, did you get the creation pill?" "Yes." Fan Xinglan nodded, but his expression soon turned ugly. "It's just that the price is a bit high." "What price?" "Give Yuan Zone 102 spirit stones within half a year." What? Mu Liang was truly shocked this time. 102 spirit stones. Yuan Zhong was robbing his heavenly array sect. Also, why was it 102 spirit stones? This number was strange no matter how one looked at it. Fang Xinglan didn't explain too much. He didn't want to tell Mu Liang that the extra 2 spirit stones were the interest Yuan Zhong collected. Otherwise, he was afraid that his martial nephew would have trouble breathing. All right. Looking at Mu Liang's appearance now, the other party also had trouble breathing. Although 102 spirit stones are a lot, as long as I break through to the heaven realm, I will be able to earn it back sooner or later. It's not a big problem. Fang Xinglan comforted and then said confidently with his hands behind his back. Now, I have already deduced the heavenly array sect's divine connection technique. Although it is not perfect, it is enough for me to break through to the heaven realm. As long as I break through to the heaven realm, I will reverse the deduction. At that time, my sect will truly have the inheritance of the heaven realm. Coupled with the inheritance of the array Tao, there will be very few forces in the cultivation world that can contend with my sect. This wasn't him bragging. It was the truth. If a heaven realm cultivator could have an incomplete divine connection technique, he could spend a lot of time to reverse the deduction and perfect this technique. In fact, it wasn't impossible to deduce something from nothing. Otherwise, where did those divine connection techniques in the world come from? To put it bluntly, they were still man-made creations. If others could create a divine connection technique, Fang Xinglan believed that he could do the same. Even if the process was a little difficult, it wasn't a big problem. Once the technique was successfully deduced, it would definitely be a great thing for the entire Heavenly Array sect. Although 102 spirit stones were precious. But compared to the inheritance of a divine connection level cultivation method, it was far too lacking. Mu Liang was also excited by Fang Xinglan's words. Uncle Master, you really have the confidence to complete the Tongshan cultivation method. If it could be perfected, he would be the first to benefit. There were 2 great cultivators at the peak of the divine martial realm in the Heavenly Array sect. One was Fang Xinglan, and the other was him. However, Fang Xinglan had walked further than him in the peak stage of the divine martial realm. He was truly only a step away from the celestial being realm. Under the condition that the cultivation method was not perfect, the probability of the other party's breakthrough was not something he could compare with. As such, that was why Mu Liang had placed his hopes on Fang Xinglan. Now that he had received the other party's reply, it was difficult for him to calm down. Once the connect to divinity technique was perfected, in that case, Mu Liang was also confident that he could break through to the Deva realm. Furthermore, it was not like Fang Xinglan, who had broken through in an old and feeble state. Instead, it was when he was in the prime of his life and at the peak of his vitality. Fang Xinglan stroked his beard and said with a faint smile, Although I don't have 100% confidence, once I break through to the heavenly person realm, I also have a 90% chance of perfecting my sect's inheritance. Martial uncle, what do you need to prepare for your breakthrough? How many spirit stones are left in the sect now? There are about 40 spirit stones in the main sect. If we dig out the spirit stones in the earth vein, there will be about 70 spirit stones. Including the various branches, there will be at most 100 spirit stones. Mu Liang estimated for a moment, and gave a rough answer. 100 spirit stones. In fact, it was not a small number. Only the top sects could take out such a large amount of spiritual stones. If it were other sects, they might not have so many spiritual stones. After all, apart from spirit stones, the sect still needed other resources. Cultivation wasn't just about having an abundance of spiritual qi. Medicinal pills and other supplementary methods were also impossible to lack. If the Heavenly Array sect exchanged all its resources for spirit stones, there would naturally be more than 100. Fang Xinglan thought for a moment and said, Prepare 50 spirit stones for me. As for the spirit stones in the main sect's earth vein, don't touch them for the time being. In addition, buy some spirit stones from other sections. It doesn't matter even if it's at a premium. When buying, try to use silver taels. If silver taels are not enough, there will be other treasures to exchange. Buying spirit stones. On the one hand, it was to repay the debt. On the other hand, Fang Xinglan had a hunch that when the time came to connect the 3 continents, it would probably be a tough battle. At that time, resources and spirit stones would be the main thing. On the other hand, although silver taels were controlled by the imperial court and would not completely collapse, its effect on cultivators would also be reduced by a lot. At this time, it was undoubtedly a good idea to throw away silver taels and exchange them for resources and spirit stones. Even if the estimation was wrong, there would not be any losses if they threw these things out. Moreover, these things. They were also what the Heavenly Array sect needed. No problem. Mu Liang nodded. He had no objection to Fang Xinglan's words. Although he was the sect master, the person who really made the decision was the uncle master in front of him. Regarding this, although Mu Liang was a little embarrassed, to be honest, he also felt that this was quite good. Even if the sky collapsed, Uncle Master would hold it up. Wouldn't it be better for him to just be the sect master and give orders whenever he had the time? After receiving Fang Xinglan's instructions, Mu Liang immediately left and ordered the people in the sect to transfer all the spirit stones. As for the 50 spirit stones that could not be gathered without digging the earth veins, it did not matter. He could directly reach out and ask for it from other branches. The main purpose of dividing the branches was to support the main sect and strengthen the power of the large sect. Otherwise, why would they waste energy to expand the branches? In the main hall of the Heavenly Array sect, many elders had gathered in one place. Mu Liang, dressed in a white robe, sat in the main seat, with a dignified aura. I won't say too much to you. Now that the Grand Elder has broken through to the celestial being realm, he needs a large number of spirit stones. Now that there are not enough spirit stones in the main sect, each branch needs to take out 5 spirit stones. Mu Liang glanced at them and immediately said in a cold voice. Hearing this, these elders all had different expressions. An old man coughed softly and said slowly, Sect Master, although it is important for the Grand Elder to break through to the celestial being realm, my branch doesn't have many spirit stones. I'm afraid we can't take out 5 spirit stones. Elder Lu is right. The resources of the branch are scarce, not to mention the spirit stones. 5 spirit stones are too much. Another elder also chimed in. 5 spirit stones. Outside, even 100 million taels of silver might not be able to buy it. If such a large amount of resources were to be taken out from the hands of the branch, it was almost the same as asking for their lives. Mu Liang's expression was indifferent, and his voice was somewhat impatient. I'm not negotiating with you. I'm telling you as the sect master that each branch must take out 5 spirit stones. These years, the branches have supported the main sect, and the main sect has also returned a lot of resources. Although 5 spirit stones are a lot, with the foundation of each branch, this is not a big problem. If you can't even solve the problem of 5 spirit stones, then I doubt that this branch still needs to exist. The resources in the sect are limited. If we waste too many resources to support some trash, I think it's better to extract this part of the resources and leave it for other capable branches to digest. After saying this, all the elders' expressions changed again. Elder Lu's expression was ugly as he said, Sect Master, we have existed since ancient times since the first sect master. Now you want to cancel it because of a groundless matter. It's not very appropriate. The first sect master is already dead. I'm the sect master of the Celestial Array sect. There are some things that Elder Lu should be clear about. Mu Liang's cold eyes fell on Elder Lu. Suddenly, Elder Lu's heart skipped a beat. From Mu Liang's eyes he felt great pressure. The peak of the god martial arts realm. Thinking of the other party's strength, he couldn't help but look away. Mu Liang was able to become the sect master. Although he was not the strongest person in the Celestial Array sect, he was definitely ranked in the top 3. Although they were elders, if they really angered him, they might not be his opponent. In this regard, the other elders also fell into silence. But what puzzled them was, when did Mu Liang, who had always been smooth-talking in the past, become so unyielding? Did the other party really think that Fang Xinglan had a great chance of breaking through to the diviner realm? As a top sect, and the first sect master had long fallen, there were naturally many factions in the sect. Fang Xinglan and Mu Liang were considered to be in the main sect, and their strength was the most tyrannical. The remaining branches were divided into other factions. Although these factions respected the main sect, they also had the idea of replacing it. Fang Xinglan was already an expert of the older generation. He was at the peak of the divine martial realm and was also a formation master. He was the true pillar of the celestial array sect. However, although his lifespan was not close, he did not have much left. Once Fang Xinglan passed away, the strength of the main sect would definitely be greatly reduced. However, all of this happened when Fang Xinglan passed away. As long as the other party did not pass away, the people of the other branches did not dare to act rashly. So now that Mu Liang suddenly became angry, they did not want to have a direct conflict with the main sect. However, thinking of Mu Liang's confidence, there were also elders who asked doubtfully, "It's true that the Supreme Elder is powerful, but he hasn't broken through to the diviner realm for so many years. Now that he's old and his qi and blood have declined, the difficulty of breaking through has greatly increased. Sect Master, are you so sure that the Supreme Elder can successfully break through?" "That's right. Once the Supreme Elder fails to break through, his lifespan will definitely be greatly reduced. If our sect loses a formation master, it won't be easy to suppress the fallen moon mansion." Another elder also nodded and said, "These words were not spoken carelessly. They resisted the main sect, but they also needed the experts of the main sect to stabilize the current position of the Celestial Array sect. In the eyes of these people, if nothing unexpected happened, Fang Xinglan could live for at least a few hundred years. In these few hundred years, the Celestial Array sect was very likely to give birth to a second formation master. At that time, even if Fang Xinglan passed away, they would not be worried about anything. However, once Fang Xinglan failed to break through and died in advance, it would be a big problem. This was the trouble of a top sect. Once the expert who suppressed a mansion died, it would be very easy for the situation to go out of control. Mu Liang said lightly, "The Supreme Elder naturally has confidence in breaking through. Elders, you don't need to be too worried about this. You just need to prepare the required spirit stones within 3 days. Also, from now on, exchange all the silver in the sect for spirit stones as much as possible. The 3 continents are about to open. When the war starts, spirit stone resources will be the main thing. Don't only think of these things when the time comes." Hearing this, the elders in the hall nodded their heads in agreement. This was true. For cultivators, the most important things were cultivation resources and spirit stones. The former could allow them to break through, while the latter could provide an endless supply of spirit qi. If there's nothing else, you can all disperse. Mu Liang did not have the desire to continue speaking. After saying this, he directly got up and left the hall. The remaining elders looked at each other in dismay. Well, it's a good thing that the Supreme Elder has broken through. If our Celestial Array sect has another Heavenly Being Supreme Cultivator, we might be able to perfect the Heavenly Being inheritance. We should support such a thing that benefits the younger generation." An elder of a branch said with a smile and also got up and left. Looking at Mu Liang's appearance, Fang Xinglan's breakthrough was something that no one could stop. Since they could not stop it, they would support it. If Fang Xinglan really succeeded in breaking through, it would be a lot of benefits for them. Even if the main sect had an additional heavenly being, the possibility of the other branches turning the situation around would be even slimmer. However, if they thought about it from another perspective, with an additional heavenly being, the power of the sect would definitely increase greatly. They, the people of the branches, would also be able to take a sip of the soup. There were pros and cons. There were gains and losses. If he really wanted to fuss over such a thing, it would be hard to explain it clearly. The main sect is indeed full of talents. Elder Lu shook his head and sighed. He glanced at the others and also got up and left. The remaining elders looked at each other and revealed a wry smile on their faces. Then they all dispersed. If they could not stop it, then they might as well not stop it. Breaking through to the heavenly being realm was also good. The celestial array sect had an additional heavenly being. However, if the breakthrough failed, the main sect's power would definitely plummet. It would also give them a chance to scheme. Not long after, the news that the celestial array sect's Fan Xinglan was preparing to break through to the heavenly being realm swept through the entire fallen moon mansion and the human cultivation world like the wind. Who was Fan Xinglan? Anyone with a bit of knowledge wouldn't be unaware of this. The Grand Elder of the Celestial Array Sect, a famous array master. The reason why the Celestial Array Sect could be ranked as a top sect and still stand until now was partly because of Fan Xinglan's contributions. However, although Fan Xinglan was strong, his realm was only at the peak of the divine martial realm. Many people who were watching the Celestial Array Sect were secretly estimating the other party's lifespan. Especially those large sects in the Fallen Moon Mansion, they all had the idea of suppressing the Celestial Array Sect. They were waiting for Fan Xinglan to pass away. Unfortunately, the news of Fan Xinglan passing away did not arrive. Instead, they received news that the other party was about to break through to the heavenly being realm. Fallen Moon Mansion, Startling Dragon Sect. In the main hall of the sect, a middle-aged man with a gloomy expression said coldly, Fan Xinglan is about to break through to the heavenly being realm. What do you think of this news? Sect Master, although Fan Xinglan is strong, he is already old. The chances of him breaking through to the heavenly being realm are slim. He might have the intention of cutting off all means of retreat this time. An elder of the Startling Dragon sect replied in a deep voice. Subsequently, another elder continued, However, we have to be on guard against Fan Xinglan's breakthrough. If Fan Xinglan really succeeds, it will be even more difficult for us to suppress the Celestial Array sect. How can we guard against it? We can't possibly attack the Celestial Array sect and stop Fan Xinglan from breaking through. An elder sneered. Since the Celestial Array sect dares to spread the news, they must have the confidence to deal with it. Right now, other than waiting for the results of Fan Xinglan's breakthrough to spread, we have nothing else to do. Investigate where Fan Xinglan's confidence in breaking through comes from, the middle-aged man said in a deep voice. He was the sect master of the Startling Dragon sect, Yuanshan. He was also one of the few great cultivators at the peak of the divine martial realm in the Fallen Moon Mansion. Fan Xinglan didn't break through earlier or later, but chose to break through at this time. He couldn't help but think about it. The other party was stuck at the threshold of the heavenly being realm, and he was also stuck at the threshold of the heavenly being realm. So, Yuanshan also had some thoughts in his heart. If he could find out the basis for Fan Xinglan's breakthrough, he might also take this opportunity to try to reach the heavenly being realm. Hearing this, an elder said, I received news that during this period of time, Fan Xinglan went to the Northern Cloud Mansion's Liang Mountain Spirit Domain twice. Do you think the reason for his breakthrough is because of Yuanzong? It's possible. Someone nodded in agreement. Yuanzong, Qin Shujian is a heavenly being, and he also has the inheritance of the divine realm. If Fan Xinglan obtains some methods to break through to the heavenly being realm from Yuanzong, it's not completely impossible. Yuanzong! Yuanshan's eyes flickered a few times. Fan Xinglan went to Yuanzong a few times, and when he came back, he announced that he had broken through to the heavenly being realm. He didn't believe that there wasn't anything fishy about it. Qin Shujian is a money grubber. If the Celestial Array sect put in a lot of effort, it's normal for him to obtain some methods to break through to the heavenly being realm. The background of this reincarnated Almighty is not that simple. In addition, the Heavenly Corpse sect was destroyed in his hands. Marquis Luowa and Marquis Wuan were killed by him one after another. The treasures of the two Saint Realm experts might also be taken by him. Although Yuanzong has only been established for a short period of time, in terms of background, it's enough to shock people. Yuanshan sighed. He was also a little jealous of Yuanzong now. After careful calculation, Qin Shujian had at least the resources of 2 top sects, or even more. If not for the startling dragon sect's insufficient strength, Yu Wenshan would have wanted to rob them. In the past few days, the Celestial Array sect had been purchasing spirit stones vigorously. Some sects would more or less have some spirit stones. These spirit stones, they were either buried in the sect's earth veins or kept as backup. In this regard, the Celestial Array sect bought them at a premium of 3 to 4 times the price. In addition to the power of a top sect, they had collected a lot in a short period of time. Some sects that were short of money even dug out the spirit stones in their own earth veins to sell. These sects often lacked top experts to oversee them. Therefore, they needed to dig out earth veins and spirit stones in exchange for enough resources to nurture experts to suppress the sect. As for the spirit stones, the overall spirit chi of the sect would decrease after they dug out the spirit stones. This wasn't a big problem. At most, it would take a little more time to cultivate. In any case, if a few spirit stones were buried and provided for the entire sect to cultivate, although there would be some effect, the effect would not be that great. It was no big deal. In the future, they would think of a way to get some spirit stones. A few days passed. The Celestial Array sect had spent most of their silver taels, and they had also lost a lot of resources. In a quiet secret room, Fang Xinglan sat cross-legged. Around him, a spirit-gathering array was set up. As for the foundation of the array, it was mainly spirit stones. At this moment, the array was activated. A large amount of spirit chi was extracted from the spirit stones. The entire secret room was filled with spirit chi, turning into a rich green color. There was even a little mist-like thing that was dripping down. Spirit chi liquefied. This was a sign that the spirit chi of heaven and earth had reached a certain level. Subsequently, Fang Xinglan took out a jade bottle and opened the cork. A beam of golden light shot out from inside and was about to escape into the distance. "Where do you think you're going?" A mysterious wave spread out and forcibly imprisoned the golden light in midair. Fang Xinglan looked at the imprisoned pill with a faint smile on his face. "Still want to leave?" He was already prepared. However, the power that the nature pill released just now also made this expert at the peak of the divine martial realm look askance. After the shock, his heart was filled with joy. The stronger the pill, the greater the medicinal effect. Fang Xinglan stroked his beard and said to himself with a smile, "The nature pill can seize the fortune of heaven and earth and go against the natural yin and yang. I finally have the chance to see such a top-grade spirit pill today." After saying that, the nature pill seemed to have felt some threat, and the pill was still trembling. Fang Xinglan pinched the pill with one hand and swallowed it directly. The pill entered his stomach. A terrifying energy spread out, and the dormant qi and blood instantly recovered. Boom! A wave of terrifying might erupted from Fang Xinglan's body, shaking the entire secret chamber to the point that it lightly trembled. At this moment, he felt that his declining aura was recovering at an extremely fast speed. In less than 2 breaths of time, he had already recovered to his former peak state. Fang Xinglan exhaled lightly, and a dense qi and blood shot out, shaking the space and making it hum non-stop. The peak of the divine martial realm. This was the true peak of the divine martial realm. With just a mouthful of qi and blood, he could easily suppress a spirit martial realm cultivator. Even a great cultivator who had just entered the divine martial realm might not be able to resist this qi and blood. After so many years, this familiar feeling has finally returned. Fang Xinglan smiled. Ever since his qi and blood declined, he had never felt such power again. After so many years. Even if his qi and blood had declined, Fang Xinglan had never given up on polishing himself. Therefore, after taking the nature pill, the power that was released was several times stronger than when he was at his peak. At this moment, Fang Xinglan's eyes were bright, and his qi and blood reached the peak. The power of the spirit god was also pushed to the limit. His eyes seemed to see through the illusion and directly saw the shackles that had blocked him for thousands of years. The threshold of the celestial being realm, I see it. In the past, I didn't have the capital to break through. This time, I want to see what you can use to stop me. Fang Xinglan closed his eyes. In the next moment, he had already absorbed a huge amount of spirit qi and mobilized his essence, energy, and spirit to break through the threshold of the celestial being realm with all his strength. Chapter 505. Above the sky, the waves were surging. In the dark night, the sun shone brightly. In a few days, many strange phenomena appeared in the heavenly array sect. Anyone who saw this scene was shocked. Natural phenomenon! Fang Xinglan is really going to break through to the heaven realm? His qi and blood are already declining. Where did he get the confidence to break through? Inside the fallen moon mansion, many cultivators were shocked and puzzled. Breaking through to the heaven realm was not done by talking. If he wanted to do this, he had to be fully prepared. In their opinion, Fang Xinglan's qi and blood were declining, and the success rate of breaking through was at most 10 to 20%. Under such circumstances, the other party still dared to force a breakthrough. Either the heavenly array sect was crazy, or they had other trump cards. Now that the phenomenon had appeared, although it did not mean that Fang Xinglan had successfully broken through, it also meant that the other party had already entered the stage of breaking through. Liang Mountain Spirit Domain. During this period of time, the news of the heavenly array sect had spread like wildfire, and even Yuan Zong had received a lot of news. Sect Master, is Fang Xinglan's breakthrough related to our sect? Su Yuanming asked with a solemn expression. This matter. He had his suspicions long ago. Otherwise, why would Fang Xinglan come here again and again, and then go back and prepare to break through? Qin Shujian nodded and said with a faint smile, It's just a mutual benefit. If the heavenly array sect can afford it, I'll give them this opportunity. As for whether the breakthrough succeeds or not, it has nothing to do with us. If Fang Xinglan succeeds in breaking through, I'm afraid it will also cause turmoil in the cultivation world. So be it. That's also a matter of the fallen moon mansion. No matter how this fire burns, it won't burn my Beiyun mansion. Besides, Fang Xinglan's breakthrough is not necessarily a bad thing for us. Qin Shujian said indifferently. In his opinion, if Fang Xinglan broke through, then so be it. Even if the other party broke through, he would only be a beginner heaven realm. Judging from the heavenly array sect's attitude. After Fang Xinglan broke through, there was a high chance that he would also form an alliance with Yuan Zong. Moreover, even if Fang Xinglan went back on his word after breaking through and did not want to form an alliance with Yuan Zong, it didn't matter. With Yuan Zong's current strength, it was a good thing to have one more ally, but one less ally was not necessarily a bad thing. In any case, it would not affect Yuan Zong. Look at this. Su Yuanming could not resist asking. Sect Master really has the means to let people break through to Deva Realm. Could it be that he's lending my sect's divinity conduit cultivation method to Fang Xinglan to observe? It was a method to break through to the Deva Realm. This made people curious. Qin Shujian said calmly. You're underestimating Fang Xinglan too much. Putting aside the fact that his cultivation has reached the pinnacle of the divine martial realm, he has also been at this realm for who knows how many years. If it wasn't for the fact that his vital energy and blood have deteriorated, he would have been able to break through to the celestial realm long ago. As for cultivation methods, as a top sect, how could the heavenly array sect not have any means to break through to the celestial being realm? What about the rumors outside? You just bought a cultivation pill from me, that's all. Nature pill? Su Yuanming looked puzzled. He had never heard of such a pill before. This wasn't anything strange. There were so many pills in the world. Even if one was an alchemist, it was impossible to know every kind of pill, not to mention the revival good fortune pill, which was a relatively obscure top-grade pill. Qin Shujian said. Going against the natural order is the creation. The creation elixir is a top-grade elixir. After taking it, one can return to the peak state. Hiss! Su Yuanming exclaimed in shock. There's such a pill in the world! Return to the peak state. This wasn't just a saying. For some older cultivators, they would usually be crowned with the title of a veteran powerhouse. Although they were old, one shouldn't ignore the word powerhouse. The longer a cultivator lived, the more terrifying the power they accumulated would be. Even if their vital energy and blood gradually deteriorated as they grew older, causing their strength to decline, their solid foundation was still there, and their strength was still terrifying. Even a powerhouse whose vital energy and blood had deteriorated was like this. If such a powerhouse could return to the peak state, it would be too terrifying. Not to mention that the divine martial realm could kill a celestial being. But it wouldn't be a problem to crush a cultivator of the same level. Nature pill! Su Yuanming murmured. It was the first time he had heard of such a pill, but just hearing it this time was enough to leave a deep impression on him. Sect Master, can the effect of this pill last for a while, or can it really return to the peak state and maintain it forever? Among the level 9 pills, the nature pill is the best. What do you think? Qin Shujian glanced at him and asked. Hearing that, Su Yuanming's heart skipped a beat. A rhetorical question was already a direct answer. In other words, once a cultivator swallowed the nature pill and returned to the peak state, it would be maintained forever. In this way, the effect of the pill was even more terrifying. Don't take the nature pill too seriously. Although the nature pill can reverse the congenital state, it can't reverse the lifespan. When one's lifespan is exhausted, even if one is in the peak state, one will still die. Although the level 9 pill is powerful, it's not to the point of reversing reincarnation. At this point, Qin Shujian's expression was somewhat regretful. He sometimes thought about it too. If his alchemy realm continued to improve, would it be possible to refine such a pill? After thinking about it, this possibility was still very high. However, it was a pity that he couldn't do that with his current strength. Not to mention doing it. He hadn't even touched the threshold. Su Yuanming didn't agree and said with admiration, "It's enough to just return to the peak state." So many cultivators can't break through the realm because of their aging bodies and declining qi and blood. In the end, they can only die with regret. If the news of the nature pill spreads, it will definitely cause others to scramble for it. While talking, he looked at Qin Shujian again and asked, "Was the nature pill refined by the sect master or someone else?" "I refined it." Qin Shujian picked up the teacup, took a sip, and replied indifferently. Hearing that, Su Yuanming's pupils shrank again. He knew a little about Qin Shujian's alchemy cultivation, but he didn't expect that he could refine such a shocking pill. For a moment, he thought of a lot of things through this matter. Su Yuanming stood up from his seat and then walked back and forth in the courtyard, looking a little restless and a little excited. "Sect Master, how much does it cost to refine the nature pill and how high is the success rate?" "The cost is about dozens of spirit stones. As long as the success rate is stable, it won't fail." Hiss! Su Yuanming secretly took a breath again. It won't fail. If other alchemists heard this, they would probably vomit blood. The main reason why alchemists were an auxiliary profession and not many people practiced it was because the success rate was relatively low. If they were all like Qin Shujian and didn't fail, then the status of alchemists would definitely skyrocket. But for Su Yuanming, this was not the most important thing. There are many rogue cultivators in the world. Many rogue cultivators spend a lot of time to reach the peak of a realm because of the lack of resources and cultivation methods. When they want to break through, they can't because of old age and declining qi and blood. If Sect Master can still refine the transformation pill, then we can use this opportunity to recruit some old masters who need it. In a short time, the strength of our sect will definitely rise a lot. Using the nature pill to recruit experts. There would definitely be many people willing. After all, a nature pill might be a chance to live again. This was especially true for those at the peak of the spirit martial force or the peak of the divine martial force. Once such people successfully broke through, Yuan's sect would at least have a few more divine martial force cultivators. As for the heavenly beings, Su Yuanming didn't dare to think about it for now. Qin Shujian shook his head at his suggestion and laughed. It's not difficult to refine the nature pill, but it's not easy to gather enough materials. Also, the loyalty of the cultivators recruited like this is also a problem. If we get bitten in the future, we'll suffer a double loss. With our current advantage, although we lack divine martial force cultivators, it doesn't matter if we have them or not. Instead of wasting time to recruit these ready-made cultivators, it's better to give these resources to our disciples. I believe that in a few years, they will also grow to a very high level. Su Yuanming also calmed down. In his opinion, recruiting cultivators and expanding the power of the sect was the best thing to do. But if Qin Shujian didn't agree, he couldn't force him to agree. In the end, the one in charge of the sect was still him. Furthermore, Qin Shujian's words made sense to a certain extent. It was just a matter of one being fast and the other being slow. After calming down, Su Yuanming sat back in his original position and smiled. I was wrong. But still, once the nature pill is out, our sect's reputation will definitely soar. In the future, when we recruit disciples, we will also have a great advantage. Sect Master, do you plan to spread the news of the nature pill? No hurry. Let's wait until Fang Xinglan and Yin Banqing successfully break through. Qin Shujian blew lightly. The spiritual tea that was steaming hot instantly cooled down by more than half. Although some people knew about the nature pill, but there were even more people who had never heard of the existence of this pill. At this time, if Fang Xinglan and Yin Banqing successfully broke through and Yuan's sect promoted the nature pill, then the effect would be big enough. It wouldn't take too long. Everyone in the world would know the effect of the nature pill. After all, the two celestial beings were the best publicity. Moreover, Qin Shujian also planned to find an opportunity to show off his alchemy skills and recruit a group of outstanding alchemists. Disciples could be nurtured with time. Alchemists were different. Even if he had time, he might not be able to nurture them. If he nurtured them himself, the price was too high. From the current situation of the alchemy hall, it could be seen that among the alchemy apprentices, there were very few who could advance to low-grade alchemists. As for low-grade alchemists and above, they were even more pitifully few. For a top sect, alchemists who were not high-grade alchemists were useless. Rather than wasting resources and time, it was better to find some ready-made ones. Although loyalty was a problem, but he had his Dharma eyes and was constantly supervising, so he wasn't afraid of any big problems. When is Sect Master going to Zongyang City? I gave a month's time limit before, it should be about time now. Qin Shujian calculated the time. More than 20 days had passed. Now that the demon clan has fled and the human clan is unified, before breaking the heaven and earth restriction, I don't think there will be any big problems in the Liang Mountain spirit domain. It doesn't matter if I'm in the sect or not. How's the progress on the recruitment of disciples? Right now, the only thing that he cared about was the progress of the recruitment of disciples. The more disciples he recruited, only then would he be able to contribute more life force to him. Thinking of this, Qin Shujian was also somewhat glad. The demon clan had fled and did not take the demon beasts of the endless mountain range with them. Otherwise, the people in the sect would have no place to kill monsters and level up. If they wanted to harvest the life force, they would have no other way but to start a conflict with the human clan. But judging from the current attitude of the human emperor, he would never allow the human clan to have internal strife. The other party had spent so much effort to fake his death and capture Shenhong and the other vassals in one fell swoop. This was so that before breaking the heaven and earth restriction, he could remove any seedlings that might cause unrest within the human clan. At this moment, whoever dared to jump out first would be the first person to court death. Qin Shujian didn't have any intention of falling out with the human emperor now. Not to mention his relationship with the imperial court. Just the strength of the two sides were not on the same level. Qin Shujian generally wouldn't do something like hitting a rock with an egg. After chatting with Su Yuanming for a while, he got up and left the sundry hall. Then, he walked outside. Not long after, a hall had already appeared in Qin Shujian's line of sight. On the plaque above the hall, 3 words were written: Array Formation Hall. In the Array Formation Hall, Xiang Haogan was originally instructing the disciples in their cultivation, but at this time, he sensed something. Then, he waved his hand and said, "That's all for today. You can all leave." After that, he ignored the disciples and walked straight out of the Array Formation Hall. As soon as he went out, he happened to meet Qin Shujian, who was coming toward him. "Sect Master!" "Hall Master Xiang." The two met briefly and then walked into the Array Formation Hall together. In the inner hall, the two sat on the left and right. Xiang Haogan spoke first and asked in confusion, "Sect Master, what brings you here today?" "Hall Master Xiang, do you remember that I gave you a group of Array Formation Masters of the Baiyun Marquis Mansion?" Qin Shujian said slowly. Hearing this, Xiang Haogan nodded and replied, "Of course I remember this. I promised the Baiyun Marquis Mansion that I would train a few superior-grade Array Formation Masters for them in 3 years. Now that the 3-year period is almost up, how is the progress?" While Qin Shujian was talking, a disciple of the Array Formation Hall had already served tea. This matter, he just remembered it recently. There was no other way. The group of Array Formation Masters of the Baiyun Marquis Mansion was really not eye-catching. If it weren't for the fact that he was going to Zhongyang City, he would have almost forgotten about this matter. 3 years seemed to be a long time. When Qin Shujian thought about it, he realized that it was just a matter of a blink of an eye. Xiang Haogan smiled and said, "Sect Master, don't worry. Now in that group, there are already 5 people who have broken through to the superior grade Array Formation Master level." "That's good." Qin Shujian smiled faintly. 5 superior grade Array Formation Masters were considered to have completed the task. Then he said, "Gather all these people. I will go to Zhongyang City tomorrow and bring them along." "No problem." After settling the matter of the Baiyun Marquis Mansion, Qin Shujian thought about it and felt that there was nothing else to do for the time being. Another day passed peacefully. The next day, Qin Shujian led a group of people to Cold Mountain City. Different from using the teleportation gate, these Array Formation Masters were not strong and their physical bodies could not withstand the power of teleportation continuously. They should have arrived at Zhongyang City very quickly, but they were delayed for 3 days. In Zhongyang City, the teleportation gate flashed and a group of people suddenly appeared there. The general guarding the teleportation gate took a closer look and saw the leader. After a moment of confusion, he immediately reacted. "Greetings, Sect Master Qin." "You're welcome." Qin Shujian also nodded and replied. When he saw this general, he also remembered. When he first came to Zhongyang City, it was this general who was guarding the teleportation gate. After coming out of the teleportation gate, Qin Shujian led these people directly to the Baiyun Marquis Mansion. On the other side, the moment Qin Shujian appeared, the Baiyun Marquis Mansion had already received the news. When they arrived at the entrance of the Marquis Mansion, Xiaohong was already waiting there. "Sect Master Qin, you have come from afar. Please forgive me for not coming out to meet you." "Steward Xiao, you're too polite." Qin Shujian smiled and then pointed to the people behind him and said, "I have already fulfilled my promise to the Baiyun Marquis Mansion." "Thank you, Sect Master Qin." Xiaohong looked at the people behind him, and the smile on his face widened a little. The Baiyun Marquis Mansion's Array Formation Masters had declined. The Baiyun Marquis Mansion was seriously lacking in Array Formation Masters. Now that this group of people had returned from the Origin Sect, the situation in the Marquis Mansion had eased a lot. Xiaohong arranged for the servants to bring these people in. He then led Qin Shujian into the Marquis Mansion. Hearing that Sect Master Qin has arrived, the Marquis is already waiting in the reception hall. "It's my fault for making Marquis Baiyun wait. Ha ha, Sect Master Qin, you're too polite, Xiaohong said with a smile. Soon. The two had already arrived in the reception hall. Xiaohong bowed and said, Marquis, Sect Master Qin is here. Okay, you can leave first. Marquis Baiyun waved his hand and Xiaohong bowed and left. Greetings, Marquis Baiyun. Qin Shujian also cupped his hands and said. Marquis Baiyun smiled and said, Sect Master Qin, you're too polite. Please take a seat. Thank you, Marquis Baiyun. Sect Master Qin, you should know the purpose of inviting you here this time. After Qin Shujian sat down, Marquis Baiyun said, His Majesty is about to break the heaven and earth restriction. Before that, the evil seal in the Baiyun mansion is a hidden danger. Therefore, I plan to catch all the evil spirits sealed in the Baiyun mansion before breaking the heaven and earth restriction. These things, Qin Shujian had already learned about it before he came here. However, after Marquis Baiyun finished speaking, he frowned and said, Marquis, the evil spirits are immortal. Sealing the evil spirits now is a way to weaken the power of the fiend abyss. Currently, the remaining evil spirit seals in the Baiyun mansion are strictly guarded. Under such circumstances, the possibility of others breaking the seals is not high. If we kill the evil spirits rashly and the fiend abyss attacks in the future, won't we strengthen the fiend abyss? Killing the evil spirits of the ordinary realm and the true dominion? It could be understood that the Baiyun mansion's power was limited and they could not take care of so many seals. However, the evil spirit seals in the spirit realm and the great dominion were still intact. Even the malignant players could not destroy these places. On the contrary, killing the evil spirits required Zhu Bing. Currently, only the great Zhao nation had Zhu Bing of the human clan. In addition, based on what the human emperor had said earlier, it was obviously not appropriate for Marquis Baiyun to kill the evil spirits now. Marquis Baiyun said, If the evil spirits can return to the fiend abyss, killing them at this time is of course not a good thing. But if the evil spirits cannot return, then there is no problem. Is the imperial court going to use Zhu Bing? There is more than one Zhu Bing of the human clan. Marquis also has Zhu Bing. Qin Shujian's expression changed. Marquis Baiyun's words made him think of something. He suddenly thought of something. Back then, the human emperor had said that Zhu Bing of the great Zhao nation suppressed the seal of the fiend abyss. But when they attacked the monster race, there was also a Zhu Bing that suppressed the heavenly court. After breaking through to the celestial being realm, Qin Shujian could also distinguish what was the real Zhu Bing and what was a weapon that contained a trace of Zhu Bing's power. Therefore, the Zhu Bing that suppressed the heavenly court was definitely Zhu Bing's true body. The human emperor went deep into the monster race. There were so many powerful figures in the imperial court, but he did not bring Marquis Baiyun with him. Moreover, there was only one Zhu Bing of the great Zhao nation, and it was still suppressing the fiend abyss. Qin Shujian already understood that the extra Zhu Bing might be the source of Marquis Baiyun's confidence. Thinking of this, Qin Shujian was also a little surprised. Marquis Baiyun had a Zhu Bing in his hands. This was something that he had never thought of. On the other side, while Qin Shujian was thinking, Marquis Baiyun admitted, That's right. I also have a Zhu Bing in my hands. With this Zhu Bing, I will definitely not give them a chance to return to the fiend abyss. Had it been before, he would not have exposed his ancestral armament. But now, there was no such concern. Since the human emperor already knew that he had a Zhu Bing, there was no need to hide anymore. He might as well take it out openly. At the same time, he could also let others know that in addition to him, a powerful figure in the Baiyun mansion, there was another Zhu Bing to suppress the mansion. Anyone who wanted to covet the Baiyun manor would have to think twice about whether they were worth it or not. A powerful figure was already terrifying enough. If there was another Zhu Bing, even 2 or 3 powerful figures would not dare to covet the Baiyun mansion. Marquis, you really hit it well. Qin Shujian could not help but sigh at this time. He looked at Marquis Baiyun with an inexplicable look in his eyes. I never thought that there was a second Zhu Bing in the human clan. So what if there are 2 Zhu Bing? There are too few Zhu Bing in the human clan's hands after all. Marquis Bayun shook his head and sighed. Sect Master Qin should know that the 3 continents are just a transition for the human clan to become stronger. The real problem lies in the Fiend Abyss. If we can't resist the Fiend Abyss, then everything is just empty talk. Chapter 506. Marquis, you seem to know something? Qin Shujian asked. Judging from Marquis Bayun's expression, he seemed to know something that Qin Shujian didn't. Hearing this, the depression on Marquis Bayun's face disappeared, and he said with a faint smile, "It doesn't matter whether you know something or not. As long as Sect Master Qin understands that only by becoming stronger can we resist the Great Tribulation. The tribulation of the demon abyss mentioned by the human emperor is much more terrifying than what you know. At that time, heavenly beings are just ants. Even immortals." At this point, Marquis Bayun shook his head and didn't continue. However, the meaning was already very clear. Even immortals. Qin Shujian's expression was extremely solemn. He didn't finish the second half of the sentence, but he could understand what he meant. Could it be that even immortals can't resist the demon abyss? Not necessarily. If there are enough immortals, they may be able to resist it. It seems that Marquis really knows a lot of things. Qin Shujian took a deep look at him and didn't dwell on this issue too much. Since the other party didn't want to talk about it in detail, he didn't want to talk about it. He would never continue to ask about this kind of method to keep people in suspense to satisfy this perverted hobby. If he didn't want to talk about it, then so be it. In Qin Shujian's opinion, any tribulation could be overcome. The difference was the strength of the tribulation. In the face of absolute strength, there was no such thing as a tribulation. If immortals couldn't resist the demon abyss, then they would surpass immortals. As long as they had enough life source, everything would be fine. Seeing Qin Shujian's relaxed expression, Marquis Bayun asked curiously, "Sect Master Qin, aren't you worried? What's there to worry about?" Qin Shujian looked at him strangely and said, "The reason why the demon abyss is a great tribulation is that the human race isn't strong enough. If the human race is strong enough, there won't be a tribulation. If immortals can't resist the demon abyss, then we just have to become stronger than immortals. As the saying goes, the Tao is endless. How can there be true invincibility? The Tao is endless." What a good saying. Marquis Bayun laughed. The more he looked at Qin Shujian, the more he liked him. In his mind, "I thought that you were the only one in the human race who had such a view. I didn't think that a mere diviner would have such a view as well. But it was a pity that the first level of Deva realm was still too weak. Before the Great Tribulation arrives, you still have a chance of breaking through to the immortal realm. As for him, the chances are not high. If you can't even break through to the immortal realm, how can you talk about being above the immortal realm?" Hearing this, Marquis Bayun's expression remained the same, not revealing anything. "Marquis Bayun, when do you plan to leave?" "The sooner the better, so we don't have to waste time." "All right." Qin Shujian nodded. In any case, now that he was in Zongyang City, he wanted to settle this matter as soon as possible. This time, he didn't ask for anything in return. He just wanted to return a favor to Marquis Bayun. As for Marquis Bayun, they didn't talk about remuneration either. It was not that he did not want to give it, but with Yuan Zong's current foundation, it was really not easy for him to raise the conditions. Marquis Bayun could also tell that Qin Shujian wanted to return the favor. Since that was the case, it was only logical that the matter would be resolved. Marquis Bayun suddenly changed the topic and asked, "During this period of time, the Heavenly Array sect of the Fallen Moon Mansion and Yin Banching of the Traceless sect are all trying to break through to the Celestial Being realm. Have you heard about this?" "I know a little about it." Qin Shujian picked up the spiritual tea in front of him and said with a smile, "Speaking of which, their breakthrough has something to do with me." "Oh?" Marquis Bayun looked surprised. He thought that Qin Shujian would refuse, but he didn't expect that Qin Shujian would admit it so straightforwardly, which made him hold back what he was about to say. Qin Shujian said. Marquis, have you heard of the cultivation elixir? The cultivation elixir that reverses the innate realm and allows people to return to their peak? Marquis Bayun's eyes flashed, and his expression became solemn. Marquis, you are really knowledgeable. Do you have the cultivation elixir? Marquis Bayun asked. Qin Shujian said. This time, I refined a total of 4 cultivation elixirs. I gave 2 to Fang Xinglan and Yin Banqing, so I still have 2 left. 2 cultivation elixirs. You said that you refined the cultivation elixir? Marquis Bayun was originally attracted by the name of the cultivation elixir, but when he came to his senses, he understood the complete meaning of Qin Shujian's words. What did he mean? You are telling me that you are also a powerful alchemy Grand Master. To be honest, this time, Marquis Bayun was really shocked. The cultivation elixir was a top-grade spirit elixir among the 9th level elixirs. Even an ordinary alchemy Grand Master might not be able to refine it successfully. Now that Qin Shujian said that he refined the cultivation elixir, it indirectly proved that he was also an alchemy Grand Master. Marquis Bayun thought of his identity as an array Grand Master and a forging Grand Master. Marquis Bayun said in a solemn tone, A Grand Master of the 3 Dao. Array Grand Master and forging Grand Master were still fine. The 2 of them were interconnected. Qin Shujian could become a Grand Master of the 2 Dao. At most, he could be said to be extremely talented. Although others were shocked, they could accept it. However, it was different for a Grand Master of the 3 Dao. Alchemy had nothing to do with the other 2 Daos. It was much more difficult to become a Grand Master of the 3 Dao than a Grand Master of the 2 Dao. In Marquis Bayun's memory, there had been a Grand Master of the 2 Dao in the human clan. However, it was rare to see a Grand Master of the 3 Dao like Qin Shujian in his life. Thinking of this, Marquis Bayun sighed again and said, Sect Master Qin is really full of surprises. Marquis, you flatter me. It was rare for Qin Shujian to be modest. Marquis Bayun said seriously, I want to buy a cultivation elixir from you. What is the price? 100 spirit stones. Okay. Marquis Bayun was silent for a moment before he nodded in agreement. A cultivation elixir might allow the Marquis Bayun's mansion to have another heavenly being. In this way, it was naturally not something that a mere 100 spirit stones could compare to. In this regard, Qin Shujian could only curse in his heart. What a hateful rich man. Look, this was the attitude of a rich man. 100 spirit stones. Not only did he not bargain, he did not even hesitate to agree to it. Then he looked at Fang Xinglan and Yin Banqing. When it came to 100 spirit stones, they acted as if their parents had died. After hesitating for a long time, they finally decided to buy it. Not only that, they had to delay the payment for half a year, which was incomparable to Marquis Bayun's. However, from the storage rings of Du Qingwu and Shenhong, it could be seen that the Marquis Bayun's mansion was really rich. In Qin Shujian's opinion, not to mention 100 spirit stones, even if it was 1,000 spirit stones, Marquis Bayun might be able to afford it. Of course, being rich was one thing, but Qin Shujian wouldn't raise the price on the spot. 100 spirit stones for a cultivation elixir. He would not cheat anyone. Therefore, after Marquis Bayun agreed, Qin Shujian did not hesitate. He directly took out a jade bottle from his storage ring and handed it over. The cultivation elixir is in the bottle. 100 spirit stones. Marquis Bayun took the bottle and then waved his hand. 100 spirit stones appeared on the table. Boom! The moment the spirit stones appeared, a strong burst of spirit energy erupted. Qin Shujian did not count them. He directly put the 100 spirit stones into his storage ring. However, when he used his storage ring, there was a strange light in Marquis Bayun's eyes. Du Qingwu's storage ring. Thinking that Du Qingwu had also died in the hands of the other party, he was not too curious. After the simple transaction, Marquis Bayun said, Sect Master Qin, you must be tired from the long journey today. You can rest in the Marquis's mansion for the night. Tomorrow, you and I will set off together to kill evil devils. If you need anything else, just let me know. There is nothing else in the mansion, but there are still some resources and materials. Thank you for your kindness, Marquis. I have already made preparations. That's good. Marquis Bayun did not say too much. Then he called the servants and settled Qin Shujian down. Late at night. In the study. Xiaohong pushed the door open and entered. He bowed and said, Marquis. Marquis Bayun looked at the graying hair on his temples and suddenly felt emotional. He asked, How many years has Uncle Xiao been in my Marquis manor? Xiaohong called him Uncle Xiao. It made Xiaohong feel as if he had returned to hundreds of years ago. But soon, he came back to his senses and said with a strange tone, This old servant has already been in the Marquis estate for 2,400 years. 2,400 years. Marquis Bayun sighed with emotion. The lifespan of a great cultivator in the god martial arts realm was no more than 3,000 years. After 2,400 years, the other party was already on the verge of passing away in a seated posture. Thinking of this, Marquis Bayun had mixed feelings. Then he took out a jade bottle and handed it to Xiaohong. There is a cultivation elixir inside. Taking it can reverse the congenital state and restore you to your peak state. With your current realm, if you take the cultivation elixir, the probability of breaking through to the celestial being realm is at least 60% to 70%. Cultivation elixir. Xiaohong was shocked. He looked at the jade bottle in his hand and said helplessly, Marquis, how can I let you waste such a precious treasure? It was the first time he had heard of the cultivation elixir. But from Marquis Bayun, he knew how heaven-defying the effect of this elixir was. Correspondingly, its value was immeasurable. Marquis Bayun said, You have been a servant in my mansion for 2,400 years. You deserve a cultivation elixir. If you break through to the celestial being realm, it will also increase the strength of my mansion. Now that you have the elixir, it will be a waste if you don't use it. Now, except for you, no one in the mansion is qualified to take the cultivation elixir. Thank you for your reward, Marquis. If I break through to the celestial being realm, I will sacrifice my life for the mansion for generations to come. Xiaohong clenched the jade bottle and bowed deeply. In response, Marquis Bayun did not stop him. After Xiaohong finished bowing, he said, Uncle Xiao, don't be in a hurry to take the cultivation elixir. When everything is ready, take the elixir and break through in one go. The probability of success will be higher. I understand. Xiaohong nodded and said, he was not willing to waste the opportunity to break through to the celestial being realm. Silence. Xiaohong seemed to have thought of something and asked, Fan Xinglan of the Heavenly Array sect and Yin Banqing of the Traceless sect are both breaking through to the celestial being realm at about the same time. Did they also take the cultivation elixir? Yes. Sure enough. Xiaohong was shocked. He originally thought that there must be some connection between the two's breakthroughs. Or else, they were about the same age as him and both had one foot in the grave. How could they break through to the celestial being realm at the same time? After knowing that they had taken the cultivation elixir, it made sense. Thinking of this, Xiaohong could not help but ask, Marquis, who made this cultivation elixir? Is it from the Yuan sect? Qin Shujian refined it. Marquis Bayun said lightly. Xiaohong's pupil suddenly shrank and he exclaimed, Qin Shujian can refine the cultivation elixir. Is he an alchemy grand master? Xiaohong would not believe that someone who could refine such an elixir was not an alchemy grand master. If Qin Shujian was also an alchemy grand master, then he could be called a grand master of 3 Daos. A grand master of 3 Daos is good. Now that the Great Tribulation is coming, the stronger our human clan is, the better. In comparison, an alchemy grand master is much more important than the other 2 Daos. Marquis Bayun said. Hearing this, Xiaohong also understood what he meant. The elixir refined by an alchemy grand master could enhance the overall strength of the human clan. Not to mention the distant The cultivation elixir alone could allow the human clan to have many more celestial beings. After all, the human clan only lacked celestial beings, but they did not lack divine martial arts realm cultivators, let alone people like him who were stuck at the peak of the divine martial arts realm. Once the cultivation elixir came out, it would definitely cause a great uproar. At that time, if these people had a cultivation elixir in their hands, the number of celestial beings in the human clan would at least be several times greater than the current number. However, I'm afraid that refining such an elixir requires the right time, place, and people. It's not that easy to refine it, Xiao Hong said with some regret. Marquis Baiyun said, "It doesn't matter how low the success rate is. As long as it succeeds, our human clan will have a chance to give birth to a celestial being. There are alchemy grand masters in the world, but only Qin Shujian can refine the cultivation elixir." His words showed how much importance he had for Qin Shujian. The two of them chatted for a long time. In the end, Xiao Hong put away the cultivation elixir, bowed, and left. The next day, Qin Shujian got up early in the morning. The servants of the Marquis mansion were waiting outside the door. When he opened the door of the room, these people had already brought in the things for washing up. After a simple wash, Qin Shujian did not eat the prepared breakfast and went directly to find Marquis Baiyun. At this moment, Marquis Baiyun happened to be in the living room. "Marquis, do you want to set off now?" "Yes, let's go." In Marquis Baiyun's mansion, two streams of light shot into the sky. In the blink of an eye, they broke through the forbidden sky array of Zongyang City and flew toward the sky. As the master of Zongyang City, the forbidden sky array in the city naturally could not stop Marquis Baiyun. As for Qin Shujian, he was an expert at the second level of the Grandmaster realm. Ordinary formations wouldn't be able to stop him. Neither of them had the intention to use the teleportation gate to travel. After breaking through to the celestial being realm, they could cross hundreds of miles in a breath. Although the teleportation gate was faster, it was not as convenient as traveling by themselves. In order to take care of Qin Shujian, Marquis Baiyun even deliberately slowed down his speed. Or else, with the speed of an almighty, he could already shake off Qin Shujian at this moment. This was not something that could be made up for by a simple step technique. How could an expert who could reach the almighty level be a simple person? Boom! Two streams of light broke through the sky like shooting stars. In the blink of an eye, they streaked across the sky like meteors. Some people who saw the streams of light did not even have time to take a second look before they lost track of the two of them. An hour passed. A huge fortress had already appeared in their sight. Inside the fortress, the condensed killing intent soared into the sky, and no birds dared to approach within a radius of 10 miles. Even though they had not completely entered the fortress, Qin Shujian was also a little surprised by this killing intent. What a powerful killing intent! Marquis Baiyun did not say much. Instead, he led Qin Shujian toward the fortress wall. "Who is it? Stop!" The sudden turn of events alarmed the garrison on top of the stronghold. Just as the garrison was about to send out the signal to invade, a general recognized Marquis Baiyun and immediately stopped him. "This is Marquis Baiyun. Everyone, don't act rashly." As soon as he finished speaking, he took a step forward and said, "Greetings, Marquis Baiyun." Although his words were respectful, he didn't bow and salute. A pair of tiger-like eyes fell on the two of them, and the atmosphere was a little solemn. Marquis Baiyun threw a token over and said, "This is my identity token." The general reached out and took it. After examining it carefully, his expression suddenly became respectful. He took a step forward and handed the token back with both hands. Then, he returned to his original position and bowed. "Greetings, Marquis Baiyun." "Greetings, Marquis Baiyun." The soldiers on the city walls also bowed respectfully. "You may dispense with the formalities," Marquis Baiyun said. The general straightened up and asked doubtfully, "Marquis, what brings you to the fortress this time?" "I'm here to solve the hidden danger of the demons." "Now pass down my order. All the troops in the fortress will withdraw in 15 minutes. Yes. The general accepted the order respectfully. Subsequently, the garrison of the entire fortress began to move. Black armor. Black spears. The silver-white tip of the spear flickered with a frightening cold light. From the gathering of the army to the withdrawal of the army, there was no noise during the process. It was so quiet that it was frightening. Qin Shuyan sighed and said, "What an elite army! The demon seal of the spiritual realm and the grand domain is extraordinary. The ones guarding it are the true elites of the imperial court. 10,000 of these elites can fight against a celestial being, 100,000 can fight against a saint, and 1,000,000 can fight against a mighty figure. When the human emperor fought in all directions and forced many experts of the demon clan to retreat, these elite troops contributed a lot," Marquis Bayun explained as he watched the army withdraw. 10,000 against a celestial being, 100,000 against a saint, 1,000,000 against a mighty figure. Hearing this, Qin Shijian's pupils contracted. A mighty figure was the top expert of the human clan. 1,000,000-strong elite army like this would be able to match a mighty expert. He had overestimated these soldiers, but he did not expect that he had underestimated them in the end. Qin Shijian took a deep breath and asked, "How many of these troops are there in the fortress now?" 100,000. Marquis Bayun looked at the soldiers below with his hands behind his back and said with a faint smile, 100,000 people formed an army. Even a third-tier celestial being can be killed on the spot." This was the reason why the spiritual realm and the Grand Domain fortress had never been breached. 100,000 soldiers could kill a third-tier celestial being. Anyone who wanted to enter the fortress had to weigh their own strength and see if they could contend with such a force. If they could not, then they would go back to where they came from. "It will probably take a lot of energy to train such elites," Qin Shijian sighed. 100,000 soldiers could kill a third-tier celestial being, which also meant that if he did not use his cultivation in formation, he would not be a match for them. Such strength was naturally terrifying. However, it was definitely not an easy task to train such elite soldiers. Or else, the great Zhao only needed to train a few million of such elite troops, and it would be enough to sweep the world. The demon clan and the rebels would have long been reduced to ashes. Marquis Bayun said, "Training such elites is naturally extremely difficult. To be honest, it is not much worse than training a celestial being." Just as the two of them were talking, the 100,000 soldiers had withdrawn. The killing intent that had condensed in the sky above the fortress had also dissipated at this time. Marquis Bayun took a step forward and left the city wall, heading toward the depths of the fortress. The moment Marquis Bayun moved, Qin Shijian also followed closely behind. Soon, a huge sealing altar appeared in their line of sight. The sealing altar of the octagonal starlight formation. It proved that the strength of the demon sealed inside was at least at the 4th tier or 5th tier celestial being. Sect Master Qin, set up the formation first. At this time, Marquis Bayun's expression became solemn. Killing the demon. The biggest trouble was that if the demon escaped, it would cause a monstrous disaster. Once an unsuppressed celestial being demon went on a killing spree, it would be a situation of misery and suffering. When Marquis Bayun's voice fell, Qin Shijian's mind moved, and many formation patterns appeared, forming a large formation that covered the entire fortress. The next moment, a tiny golden lotus flew through the air and quietly fell into the formation. Buzz! Invisible fluctuations spread out, and the entire formation completely solidified, turning into an unbreakable cage. After doing all this, Qin Shijian said, "The formation has been completed. Unless an almighty figure makes a move, it's impossible to break the formation." "Okay." Marquis Bayun also wanted to know if Qin Shijian's words were true or false. He only saw Qin Shijian strike out with his palm, and a terrifying force instantly erupted, bombarding the sealing altar of the octagonal starlight formation. The formation that was personally set up by a formation grandmaster shattered with a bang in the face of this force. The moment the formation shattered, monstrous demonic chi surged out, and a huge demon walked out of the seal. Its body was thousands of feet tall, like a huge mountain, and it gave off an endless sense of impact. However, when the demon broke out of the seal and came out, no lightning condensed in the sky. This was because Qin Shujian's formation directly isolated the phenomenon of the demon's appearance. "I'm finally out!" The 1,000-feet demon roared toward the sky, and monstrous demonic chi swept out in all directions. Qin Shujian directly retreated to the side, then looked at it with his Dharma eye. The demon's attributes also appeared in his sight. 5th-tier celestial being. And it was not seriously injured. In other words, the demon in front of him was a terrifying existence whose strength had reached the 5th-tier celestial being in its peak state. Chapter 507. Noisy! Marquis Baiyun struck out with his palm, and the black energy turned into a long saber that slashed down, tearing through the void and making the evil demon feel the threat of death. "Human!" The evil demon was furious as it punched out, colliding with the long saber. Boom! The fist cracked, and blood splattered everywhere. The anger on the evil demon's face quickly turned into fear. At this moment, an invisible wave spread out in all directions with Marquis Baiyun as the center. Everything within the range of the wave became stagnant. The evil demon felt its body sink as if a huge mountain was pressing down on it. Its bell-sized eyes were filled with shock and anger. "Domain! Human mighty figure!" At this moment, the evil demon no longer had the intention to fight with Marquis Baiyun. Human mighty figure. He was a powerhouse comparable to the demon gods of the demon abyss. Although it was at the 5th level of the heaven-human realm, it was still far inferior to such a powerhouse. It did not dare to hesitate. The evil demon turned around and ran. However, just as it was about to escape, countless runes appeared, and terrifying lightning fell from the sky, forcing the evil demon back. "Grandmaster Array Formation!" Boom! Without waiting for the evil demon to come back to its senses, Marquis Baiyun took a step forward, and the great underworld dark sky had already slashed down. The evil demon wanted to resist. However, with the huge gap in strength, it had no ability to resist at all. The black saber slashed down, causing its body to crack, and it coughed out blood. In the next moment, Marquis Baiyun stepped into the air with his hands behind his back and executed the 9 steps of immortal ascension. He took 5 steps in the air. The evil demon was directly suppressed. Its 10,000 feet tall body crawled on the ground like a huge mountain. Its hard skin cracked, and blood gushed out like a stream. Qin Shujian was now like a spectator, watching Marquis Baiyun easily suppress a 5th-level heaven-human realm evil demon. That kind of strength. It was the first time he faced a mighty figure directly. How powerful was he? Mighty figure! Qin Shujian's eyes flickered. He did not use his Dharma eyes to see Marquis Baiyun's realm. After all, it was too eye-catching to see his attributes. If it was an enemy, it would be fine. However, the problem was that Marquis Baiyun was an ally. If they were to look around at this moment, it would not look good on either side. However, even the weakest mighty figure was at the 7th stage of the heaven-human realm. According to the information he had obtained, Marquis Baiyun was less than 1,000 years old. He had broken through to the heaven-human realm a few hundred years ago, and had taken over the position of Marquis Baiyun. A few hundred years. Being able to break through to become a mighty being was already a shocking feat. He should not have reached a limit yet. Therefore, in Qin Shujian's opinion, Marquis Baiyun should be at the 7th or 8th level of the heaven-human realm. The 5th level of the celestial being realm was only 2 or 3 levels away from the 7th or 8th level of the celestial being realm. However, the difference was so great that it was surprising. Looks like the gap between celestials grows larger the further one goes. Breaking through to the 7th level of the celestial human stage allows one to condense their own domain, making one's strength even more terrifying. If I break through to the 7th stage of the celestial human stage, How long would it take to suppress a 5th stage celestial human stage evil fiend? Thinking about it from another perspective, Qin Shujian realized that if he were to break through to the 7th level of the celestial human realm, it wouldn't be too difficult for him to suppress a 5th level celestial human realm evil fiend. Or rather, if he could break through to the saint realm, he would be able to suppress this demon. In terms of foundation, Qin Shujian was much stronger than ordinary celestial beings. While he was thinking, he didn't miss the changes in the field. In front of Marquis Baiyun, this evil fiend had no power to fight back. However, whenever it wanted to escape, Qin Shujian would control the array formation and force it back. Boom! An ancient and vast aura came, and in the next moment, a shocking killing intent appeared. The void distorted violently and cracked. A stone spear appeared from the cracked void. There were some bloodstains on the spear, and it seemed like a god fiend was roaring angrily. The moment he saw the stone spear, Qin Shujian was shocked. Zhu Bing! The stone spear in the human emperor's hand back then was indeed Marquis Baiyun's Zhu Bing. The reason why Marquis Baiyun followed the human emperor to the demon clan was that he had borrowed Zhu Bing. But fortunately, Qin Shujian had already known about these things, so although he was shocked when he saw Zhu Bing, he recovered in an instant. However, although he was fine, some evil fiends were going crazy. Zhu Bing! The evil fiend's ferocious face was full of fear. Waves of demonic chi burst out, trying to break through Marquis Baiyun's suppression, but it was useless. The evil fiend wasn't too afraid when it was suppressed by Marquis Baiyun earlier. But now that Zhu Bing had appeared, it was really terrified. If possible, this evil fiend wanted to go back to the original seal and bury himself. Zhu Bing! That would really kill the evil fiend. The gentle smile on Marquis Baiyun's face was no longer gentle. The moment he held the stone spear, he had already slashed at the evil fiend. He stabbed out with the spear. The void shattered. It seemed like a simple spear, but it showed the shadow of a god fiend falling. A terrifying murderous aura erupted in an instant, causing everyone who felt this aura to be shaken to their core. I won't. The evil fiend was frightened and roared crazily. Powerful demonic chi condensed in its body, trying to resist Zhu Bing's attack. However, compared to Zhu Bing's power, the demonic chi was too weak. In front of Zhu Bing, the condensed demonic chi was easily torn apart. Then, with a flash of blood, the evil fiend's body stiffened and then fell to the ground powerlessly. Rumble! The earth shook. In Qin Shujian's sight. Earlier, when the ancestral armament killed the evil spirit's blood essence instantly withered. Even its spirit deity's consciousness withered. At the same time, the aura of the stone spear also became stronger. Seeing this, Qin Shujian's expression changed again. He's become stronger. Could it be that Zhu Bing can increase his power through killing? Qin Shujian wasn't sure. Because he didn't have Zhu Bing, the sect had been worshipping the blood of 1,000 mountains, but it didn't have much effect. It was difficult to make Zhu Bing. With the tens of thousands of disciples, even if they worshipped day and night, it was impossible to make one Zhu Bing in a few years. Otherwise, with the hundreds of millions of people in the great Zhao country, Zhu Bing could be mass-produced. In the past, Qin Shujian didn't know the difficulty of making Zhu Bing, so he spent time carving stone statues for the disciples to worship. If he had known, he would never have wasted this time. At this moment, the evil fiend was killed by Marquis Baiyun, and its body turned into yuan-corroding bone powder and scattered on the ground. Qin Shujian praised. Zhu Bing's power is really shocking. The immortal evil fiend was killed so easily. If the human race had thousands of Zhu Bing, they wouldn't be afraid of the threat of the demon abyss. It's difficult to make Zhu Bing. Since ancient times, there haven't been many Zhu Bing in the human race. Marquis Baiyun also understood Qin Shujian's thoughts. Regarding this, he only said it in his heart that it was naive. During the ancient heavenly court, the myriad races were at their peak, and there weren't many supreme treasures that could kill evil fiends. Otherwise, Even if the heavenly court couldn't resist the demon abyss, they wouldn't have ended up in such a state. After putting away Zhu Bing, Marquis Baiyun said, "This place has been corroded by demonic qi. I hope Sect Master Qin can set up a purification array to purify the demonic qi here. It's a small matter," Qin Shujian said with a faint smile. A purification array was just a matter of thought for him now. After the array was set up, Qin Shujian also removed the array formation that covered the fortress. Marquis Baiyun rose into the air and looked at the army stationed outside the fortress. He said loudly, "The evil fiend here has been killed today. Quickly return to the Imperial Court to report." "Yes, General!" At the front of the army, a general cupped his hands and accepted the order. Marquis Baiyun nodded slightly and then looked at Qin Shujian. The two of them directly left this place, turning into streams of light and fleeing to other places. In Baiyun Mansion, there were a total of 20 sealed evil fiends. Now that one had been killed, there were still 19 left. If 19 evil devils were to gather together, then even a supreme expert would have to retreat. After all, although mighty figures were strong, the evil fiends weren't weak either. Any evil fiend was at least a powerhouse at the first level of the heaven-human realm. Among them, there was no lack of powerful evil fiends at the fourth level of the heaven-human realm, and below the seventh level. With such strength, even mighty figures couldn't contend with them. The strength of a cultivator at the seventh level of the heaven-human realm was much stronger than a cultivator below the seventh level of the heaven-human realm. But seriously speaking, both of them were at the heaven-human realm. Fortunately, the remaining 19 evil fiends were scattered and sealed in various places. In this way, things were much easier to handle. With Marquis Baiyun's strength and Zhu Bing in his hands, a single evil fiend was no match for him at all. Even an ordinary demon god might not be able to contend with him. Under such circumstances, Qin Shujian was completely reduced to a spectator. During the battle, with Marquis Baiyun around, he was responsible for watching from the side to prevent any evil fiends from escaping. Besides that, there was nothing else to do. Boom! Another evil fiend fell. Qin Shujian's eyes turned red. Every evil fiend. They all represented a large amount of life source and luck value. But with Marquis Baiyun around, it wasn't his turn to collect the heads at all. At this rate, the evil fiends in Baiyun Mansion should be cleaned up in a few days. Marquis Baiyun put away the stone spear with a faint smile on his face. In a few days, he and Qin Shujian walked through half of Baiyun Mansion and killed as many as 13 evil fiends. The two of them didn't stop. After settling one place, they immediately went to the next place. Marquis Baiyun's strength is amazing. Otherwise, the evil fiends wouldn't be killed so quickly. Qin Shujian smiled and then set up a purification array. "Let's go!" Marquis Baiyun didn't say much. Afterward, the two of them left this place. While Marquis Baiyun was killing the evil fiends, the Imperial Court began to recruit a large number of manpower and resources to the end of the Skyan mountain range to build a huge city that could resist the other 3 continents. At the same time, the demon beasts in the Skyan mountain range were also wiped out by the Imperial Court's army. Then, many people moved to expand the territory of the human race. At this point, the entire eastern continent was completely occupied by the human race. In a hidden mountain forest, a group of players gathered together, led by Wang Rinbin. Compared to the high-spirited Wang Rinbin before, the current Wang Rinbin was much more embarrassed. He was no longer handsome. "What's the Imperial Court doing now?" Wang Rinbin looked at the people around him and asked coldly. As soon as he finished speaking, a young player replied, "The Imperial Court's army is sweeping the demon beasts in the Skyan mountain range and preparing to open up the territory of the demon race. They've also sent a large number of manpower to build a huge city at the end of the Skyan mountain range. In my opinion, they won't have time to pay attention to us in a short time." Bang! Wang Rinbin smashed a rock beside him with his fist. His face was full of gloominess. "Damn the Imperial Court! We can't go on like this. Now, there are still rewards for us everywhere. Even if they don't pay attention to us, it's difficult for us to have a chance to develop. Speaking of this, Wang Rinbin's face became even gloomier. The human emperor faked his death. Not only did he cheat the vassals and the demon race, but he also cheated the players. When the human emperor fell, the system prompt said that the vassal mode would be activated. Many rich and powerful players tried their best to recruit troops and buy horses, wanting to take the opportunity to conquer the world. Among them, the Wang family, where Wang Rinbin was from, had invested a lot of manpower and resources, almost emptying the Wang family's assets. In the end, the human emperor didn't die. If the human emperor didn't die, the human race would be in internal strife for a long time. They might not be able to fish in troubled waters, but at least they would have a chance to withdraw. In the end, as soon as the human emperor appeared, the rebels were gone. As for the demon race, they didn't even dare to fart. They hid in the sky and mountain range and didn't come out until now. In this way, the other players who entered the vassal mode were miserable. The human emperor came back and swept through the wilderness with the force of thunder. All the rebel forces were uprooted in just a few days. Among them, there were many cities occupied by players. After a great battle, all the players who participated in it died at least 2 or 3 times. That wasn't all. Later, the imperial court issued a wanted order, and all the masterminds of the rebellion were wanted. There were also the imperial court's army sweeping back and forth in various mansions, specifically looking for the rebels. For a time, the rebellious players were having a hard time. Not to mention the drop in realm, they were also wanted by the imperial court. They had no chance to show up in front of people. It should be known that the game world now had a lot to do with reality. If one's realm fell here, it would also be affected in reality, and their cultivation would slow down. And excluding this factor, a large number of players died, and these vassal players also had to pay a lot of money. The Wang family, where Wang Rinbin was actually considered good. After all, they had a deep foundation. Even after such twists and turns, they just suffered some damage and didn't go to the end. However, some of the weaker clans had declared bankruptcy and perished in this turmoil. Thinking of this, Wang Rinbin was angry, but also a little relieved. At this time, the players gathered around him were all the team cultivated by the Wang family in reality. Wang Rinbin was a direct descendant. Now that he was being hunted by the imperial court, he naturally had guards around him. "Young Master Wang, what do you plan to do now?" a player asked with a worried expression. It couldn't go on like this. They were suppressed to the point that they couldn't level up, but the other players were constantly accumulating strength. 10 days to half a month was okay. Now that everyone's realm had risen, such a short time wasn't enough to open up a big gap. But if it continued for a year and a half, or even 3 to 5 years, the gap would be too big. And they would also be officially eliminated by the other players. Wang Rinbin's expression was gloomy, and he said in a cold voice, "Now the imperial court won't stop until they kill us all. If we want to fight against the imperial court's army, we have to gather all the players together. Otherwise, no one can fight against them. The only way now is to wait for the imperial court to open up the 3 major continents, and we can take this opportunity to sneak out." In his opinion, this was the last way. What was in the 3 major continents? He didn't know, but the imperial court definitely didn't know too much. The human emperor was powerful, but he only controlled the eastern continent. When the time came, the players would escape to the other 3 major continents. No matter how powerful the imperial court was, there was no way to find them. When the other players heard this, they all fell silent. Wang Rinbin's idea was the only way out they could think of at the moment. In this situation, they could either fight to the death with the imperial court, or they could only escape. It was obviously impossible to fight to the death with the imperial court, so the only thing left was to escape. Wang Rinbin said, "You guys contact some of the other aristocratic families and see what they think. It's best to persuade them to come over and leave together. The imperial court is now building a city there. In my opinion, when the time comes, even if they open up the 3 major continents, this entrance will definitely be firmly controlled by someone. It won't be easy for us to sneak out. If they also have ideas, it will be much easier for us to get out when the time comes. The Imperial Court's purpose of building a giant city was to defend against the 3 major continents, and to control the entrance to prevent others from entering and leaving at will. When the time came, if they wanted to force their way to the 3 major continents, it would be inevitable that there would be another big battle. After that, Wang Rebin continued, send some people out and pay close attention to the movements of the Imperial Court's army. As for the rest, stay here in the Skyan Mountains and raise the level that they have dropped first. We may spend the next year here. You guys should be mentally prepared. Young Master Wang, don't worry. We know what to do. That's good. Wang Rebin was also somewhat relieved. Fortunately, the Wang family still had some people who were trained in reality. They would not betray him at this time. After all, if they betrayed him, it would not be as simple as dying once in the game. With the Wang family's means, it would not be a problem to kill a few people in reality. In the real world, with the recovery of the spirit chi, more and more people stepped into the cultivation world. The spirit mountains and rivers of the various earth veins were gradually recovering. Many powerhouses who had retreated from the world were also showing their talents. In a mountain forest, a lot of spirit chi of heaven and earth gathered here. A person was sitting there cross-legged. As he breathed in and out, a large amount of spirit chi of heaven and earth poured into his body. After a long time, the Blade Master's breathing suddenly stopped. Invisible energy spread out from his body, and the spirit chi of heaven and earth that gathered here suddenly retreated. He opened his closed eyes, and light shot out from them. Whoosh! A tree that would take 3 or 4 people to encircle broke from the middle and fell to the ground. Rumble! The loud noise startled a large number of birds. 7th level of the true martial realm, physical invulnerability. The Blade Master got up, exhaled softly, and then checked his condition. Immediately, he shook his head regretfully. Physical invulnerability. In his heyday, such strength was no different from an ant. He could kill thousands of them with just a breath. But a real man would not boast about his past glory. The Blade Master was now only a physical invulnerability cultivator. Although he was confident that he could kill people of the same level as easily as eating and drinking, it could not change the fact that his cultivation was not high. What a pity! I can only reach this level now. If I go any higher, I will attract attention. The Blade Master looked at the sky with a touch of coldness on his face. The strongest person in this world now was only a physical invulnerability cultivator. Although he was not sure which level they were at, he was sure that they had not reached the spiritual martial realm. Now that the spirit chi has recovered, the group of people who cultivate the fastest will always be watched by heaven and earth. I'm just a stowaway. If heaven and earth watch me now, I will be in big trouble. In the Blade Master's view, the rules of this world were too perfect. Compared with his original strength, they were not at the same level at all. It took him a lot of effort to sneak in with his means. Now he did not dare to show his face easily. In order to enter this world, the Blade Master had waited for too long. It wasn't that he hadn't experienced death before, but if all his previous efforts were wasted, it wouldn't be so easy for him to enter again. He took a deep breath. A palm-sized cyan token appeared in the Blade Master's hand. On top of the token, there were 2 mysterious characters. At this moment, 3 cracks had appeared on the token, occupying 1/5 of it. I just broke through to the physical invulnerability stage, and now there is 1 more crack. If I were in the first realm now, the token would have been broken. It seems that I have to slow down my cultivation. But now that the spirit chi has just recovered, the physical invulnerability stage is enough for now. There is no need to continue improving my strength. He put away the token solemnly. The Blade Master glanced at the surroundings, then wiped away all the traces he had left behind before leaving. He walked in the forest. The Blade Master would not deliberately attack, but anyone who dared to attack him would be killed by him. Especially now that the spirit she had recovered, many beasts had become more bloodthirsty and ferocious. The forest where ordinary people could step into freely had gradually become a dangerous place where ordinary people could not approach. The forest was lush with vegetation. Mountain peaks of various sizes were scattered all over the place, forming a natural scene. There was smoke rising up ahead, proving that there were traces of people there. The Blade Master stopped in his tracks and looked at the mountain beside the smoke. There. He sensed a weak spiritual aura. Cultivator. The Blade Master murmured. He originally wanted to walk towards the smoke, but now he changed his direction and walked towards the mountain. In the eyes of others, as long as one reached the first level of the martial arts realm, they could be called a cultivator. But in the eyes of the Blade Master, only those who had reached the real martial arts realm were qualified to be called a cultivator. Strictly speaking, the basic martial arts realm was not a cultivation level at all. It was just a process of laying the foundation. The so-called 1st to 10th levels of the basic martial arts realm were all like that. Only when one broke through to the real martial arts realm and condensed true essence in his body could he be considered a real cultivator. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.